Welcome to the Non Sequitur Show. Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming and a complete loss of wokeness. You have been warned.
Alrighty there, a little brief introduction there. I'm not going to do a full episode. I just wanted to use the Non Sequitur Show layout, even though we're not actually doing a Non Sequitur Show and it's not on the Non Sequitur Show channel. But I thought I'd do an open hangout tonight because I was heavily caffeinated today and I got some pain stuff in my system. So I'm actually doing okay. It's actually been a good day. I was planning to do this the last couple days, and I got with Aaron. I'm like, hey, Aaron, you want to do this tonight? And about 2 hours later, I'm like, Aaron, I changed my mind, and I hope you didn't think I was flaking out on you. I just wasn't feeling up to it.
No, I know, I knew you weren't.
So,
I know. We're all good.
Awesome. So, anyways, got a little bit of a change of pace tonight. I know it's April Fool's Day. I don't do anything usually for April Fools. If I do, I post one thing, but forget about it. But I didn't do anything for that. But I do want to talk about a little bit of stuff that's going on in the news lately. On Google. But before we get started, you've had some Jello shots tonight, I believe. Is that what you're saying? All right.
Yes.
Well, I decided to go out and I got some food. I made her some brilliant, I'm talking brilliant tuna fish egg sandwiches. They were magnificent. They were artesian. They were good, were they not? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, she had a headache. And so I was like, I'll go out and I'm going to take care of it tonight. But on the way back, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get some White Claw. I've never had White Claw before. White Claw cherry.
What?
Have you had that? I never had White Claw. Yeah, I've never had White Claw in my life. None. But this is White Claw cherry. So I was like, asking your consent if you can pop my cherry tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Do I have your consent?
Sure.
Oh.
Pop it away.
Okay, let's try this. I swear to God, I've never had White Claw. So let's see how this is.
Well, I once heard it described as the White Claw tastes like when you're watching TV late at night and the channel ends and the snow comes on, but instead of having fruit, someone just keeps yelling out the names of flavors. I don't know why.
It tastes like a Pellegrino with a hint of cherry, but it tastes like a Pellegrino that went flat.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. See,
it's supposed to be
if you're going to get into this, if you're going to get into the seltzers, White Claw is probably like, I don't know, it's not the best one. I don't think, in my opinion.
This is definitely for white people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely for white women. Yeah.
I believe it is. There's nobody else who would drink this.
But High Noon,
she drinks Grey Goose. That's her drink. Grey Goose. I get her like the big bottle of Grey Goose.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's good stuff, right? You're a bartender.
I like Grey Goose. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that I'm ever going to get this again, but I will finish it.
Well, if you're gonna get into the seltzers, I recommend like High Noons.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, and they have some pretty amazing flavors too. Like water, I love watermelon everything, but watermelon High Noon is about the most disgusting thing I've ever tried.
I like watermelons drink, except for watermelon Four Loko. Oh no.
Oh, I'm kidding. This shit's awesome. But
yeah, that's the problem. It's really tasty. I mean, it's good. Yeah. Man, one of those messes you up.
As far as High Noons go, though, I recommend raspberry. That's my favorite flavor.
I never really got much into the raspberry, blueberry, boysenberry, any of that stuff. But Cano really likes that kind of stuff. And so she'll get like the blueberries. And I find that they're actually pretty good. Pancakes, brilliant in pancakes. We're trying like different things because we're foodies in some way. And so like today I made a magnificent tuna fish recipe that I had. And then what else we're going to make? What do we usually make? We make a lot of chicken. She makes some amazing like cornbread, collard greens. Oh yeah, those are good. But anyways, let me turn on my gain here. My gain's a little high. So let's kind of like dive into this tonight because I want to have some fun. I haven't had fun in ages. Like I said, I'm in a much better place today. Just good day, good day all around, and I want to keep it going while I'm caffeinated. And so I wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff you guys were talking about on your channels about what's going on with the whole pity, diddy, piddly, diddler kind of thing. And I don't know what to say. And the Nickelodeon, because I followed it behind the scenes, but it's so much. it's so intricate, and so I thought people could come on and if they want to talk about it. By the way, are you done with your procedure there? You could get all. Are you maked up now?
No, not yet. Almost.
Okay. She will go on camera. Hey, John, welcome.
Hello. Morning. It's 4 in the morning for me,
Yeah,
so
I know it's late.
I won't be going. I'm sat here in my very quintessentially British dressing gown, so I won't be going on camera, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, have you been following anything that's been happening in America? There's some stuff There's stuff I've been following over the UK that I'll talk about coming up here with the whole JK Rowling thing.
JK Rowling. Yeah.
By the way,
what's up with her?
Oh, you want to talk about that first?
Just the absolute insanity.
I think she's brilliant. I think what she's doing is absolutely brilliant. It's a win-win for her. But basically, what she did. Okay, so I don't know if you knew this yet, Aaron, but April 1st today. This is true. This is not April Fool's. In Scotland, they passed a law that you cannot misgender or in any way offend somebody of a protective class, and if you do, police can investigate into an actual crime. This is not hyperbole. This is straight up fact, and that extends not just from Scotland, but all the way into the UK. Correct, John?
What do you?
It doesn't extend into England or Wales. It is exclusively
according to Scotland.
Scotland.
It absolutely does. According to Scotland, it extends up to UK.
If you're the problem is that if you're a Scottish citizen or if you go to Scotland, then they could potentially investigate you. It doesn't. Right. They're saying it doesn't matter where the crime takes place if you then cross the border into Scotland. So basically, if you commit a crime as far as Scotland are concerned in England, as long as you don't go, like the Scottish police can't cross the border and come and arrest you, and we don't really have extraditionary powers in the UK because we are one. We're a weird one nation, but we're not. Because we've got devolved parliaments, but we are technically one nation. So it's a weird legal sort of thing here, but it's bonkers. I mean, and it's not actually as bad as laws that they've tried to push through before. What they actually tried to push through previously was a law to state that the hate crime legislation applies to things that are said in private around your dining table.
Well, yeah, that's what they're trying to do too. Even if you say this in private in your own home, they say that it's illegal.
Yeah, it's insane. It is legitimately insane. The rights of freedom of speech, quite literally in the United Kingdom,
don't exist.
They were won and maintained by, as far as I'm concerned, the bravest generation that ever existed, and they retained those rights of freedom of speech and freedom of association and the freedoms that we enjoy by literally running up beaches into machine gun fire.
Yep.
And now we have a generation that don't even have the courage to suffer through hurt fucking feelings. Yeah, and they want to start ripping chunks off of
it. And here's the thing.
It's absolutely outrageous.
I'm not a free speech absolutist per se. I'm damn close though. I mean, about as close as you can get. I don't even like the term free speech absolutism because I think it puts you in an unattainable position. Yeah, anything with absolutism is nothing that I really want to subscribe to. But I mean, I do believe in time, place, and manner. But the thing is that the only speech that should be legislated is speech that invokes violence when you actually threaten somebody, right? If I come up to John and I threaten him, fighting words they're called, that's illegal. That you can't do that. But if I want to call John any pejorative I want to, that's freedom of speech.
Right.
But you can't do that I think as of today, you cannot do that in Scotland.
I think the Brandenburg test this is a perfectly fine legal test. What's wrong with the Brandenburg? I mean,
for fighting words.
Well, for anything. So speech that is it has to be the immediate cause of violence and likely to lead to violence. Right. It can't be, so, but also the Brandenburg rules, the Brandenburg test sets aside things around sort of like principled opinion. So, for example, it wouldn't be considered fighting words to say, well, I don't believe a man can become a woman.
Right.
Even though somebody could could take, but you would have to actually directly threaten the person for them to legitimately respond with violence.
Right. If
You'd
I
have
say,
to say,
if I
well,
say
I
I'm going
don't.
to do something to you, I'm going to physically do something to you. Those are fighting
Yeah,
words.
if you said, I don't believe a man can become a woman, and because you're transgender, I'm going to attack you because I think you're eroding women's
Those
rights.
are fighting words.
Those are fighting words. But if you just say, I don't believe a man can become a woman, and the other person adds the rest of the sentence in their head because they're a nut job, and they attack you, then they have legitimately attacked you because you weren't threatening them. But this is what people are doing by saying that words are quote unquote violence.
Yep. Have you ever, and this is news to you, Aaron? You haven't looked at this? This literally took into effect today. So what JK Rowling did was she posted on Twitter all her beliefs about, a man cannot become a biological woman, a biological woman cannot be a biological man. And she said, arrest me, charge me, come at me. And this was a big old long post. And you got to remember that she's got power and influence.
JK Rowling's net worth is probably more than the entire Scottish government.
She's worth
at this
$1
point.
billion.
It's just like, come at me, bitches.
She's more. Her net worth is worth more than third world countries. Okay, she's got power and influence, and so she's brilliant because they have a dilemma now. One, they either enforce the law and they arrest her, or do something to charge her, which means she has a massive platform in order to expose the lack of common sense that people are having here to impose these kind of draconian Orwellian type laws, because that's all they are.
The problem is I don't think they will do anything about it.
I don't think so either, but that's the other option. If they don't, then the law's hollow and it means nothing and people just ignore it.
But also, these people aren't principled. They're not enacting on a sincerely held belief in a principle that they hold. They're doing it for authoritarian control. It's not because they actually believe what they say. They do. Right. It's a means to an end. It's a power grab, and the only reason that they would have to do it is if they thought that they could get the upper hand on somebody legally, then they would bat them down, and they'd do it very publicly because they don't actually care about the person that they're attacking. It's a signal to all the other people in 100%. The world who don't have the resources that Rowling does. So if she successfully batters them back, then it's a signal that they're not strong, and she's too powerful for them to take on. They'll take on somebody smaller. They'll take on somebody less powerful. And
she's got
less
Elon
influence.
Musk on her side, so that's another powerhouse. But what you say, Aaron?
Yeah.
This one I don't get though. Okay, this whole approach. Okay, by making it law, by making it legal. Well, I don't care what country it happens in. It's the wrong approach, because basically you're trying to strong arm someone into adopting your beliefs, into 100%. Seeing things, into agreeing with you or whatever. You will never win that way. Just out of spite alone, they will refuse that. They will resist it.
The trans community is up in arms about it, especially in America. Even they're like, no, because they don't want this kind of strong arm tactics.
Inspire people. You need to reach people. You need to get people to actually see things your way or see things from your point of view. Even if they don't agree, they can at least understand it, whatever. But I mean, if you're going to just impose it on them and just cover them with law and make them act accordingly, well, they're going to resist.
This is an extension of all of the problems that we've been seeing in our educational institutions, where they'll shout down debaters. It's like the brown shirts from 1930s Germany, for God's sake, where they'd storm events and make a little racket so that nobody could be heard. And this is just a continuation of we're not going to have a discussion about it. We're going to tell you what you should be thinking. We're going to tell you what you should be doing. We're going to tell you how you should be acting. And if you don't like it, tough shit, because we're the government and you're the Luddite working class that needs to just do as they're goddamn told. Oh, by the way, here's a load of extra taxes.
Did you see my tweet? What I noted that colleges used to be a place where you got an education. You went there and you learn how to debate. You learn how to discuss things. You learned how to have conversations. Now, the whole point of going to some of these colleges is to learn how to protect yourself from having conversations. Protect yourself from speech you don't want to hear. Like Aaron, what is your favorite all-time drink? Like, if you had to pick one of your favorites.
My favorite drink?
Yeah, one of your favorites.
I got a lot of them. We'll go with redheaded slut.
Redheaded
slut. Go-to drink. Yeah,
that's basically that's a Lindsay Lohan with what is it? Lindsay Lohan with something, right?
Well, I know, like Paris, Me and Lindsay, that's my holy trinity.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, but
no, a redheaded slut drink is with Jägermeister, peach schnapps, and cranberries.
Yeah, it's a Lindsay Lohan with Jaeger. That's what it was.
Okay.
I think.
But anyways, all together in one glass?
Yeah.
Yes, I know. It sounds like it would taste like shit. I know. But it tastes magical.
I'm not a big Jaeger fan. But what happens if I said, hey, this White Claw is better than a redheaded slut? That sounds so weird to say. Somebody's gonna clip the shit out of that right there.
I think that you and my
sister. But if I argue that a White Claw is better than a redheaded slut, and if you argued against me and said that's wrong, Aaron, that's hate speech. I will have you arrested. That's what they're doing. There is no difference in what they're doing in Scotland. No difference whatsoever. And I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. I mean, this has been like big news.
Well, we had
I'll be right back.
The current First Minister in Scotland is a guy called Hamza Yousaf.
Yeah, I've listened. That dude is. What's wrong with him?
I mean, he's an absolute lunatic. He was busy. There's a clip of him where he was in the Scottish Parliament, where he was going like, all of our judiciary white, all of our this white, yep. All of that white. I'm like, white. You're in fucking Scotland, you dickhead. What do you think they're going to be? Like,
it's predominantly Scotland's predominantly white. I mean, it's
welcome to the end stage of. Welcome to the end stage of proportional representation, you fucking loony. I mean, what did you? I mean, it's
that's like going to Mexico and saying, "Oh,
can you imagine if you went,
a Congress,
Can you imagine if you went to Uganda and went, look, all of our politicians are black, all of others are black, like they'd fucking lynch you.
It made no sense to me either. I watched exactly what you saw, and I was like just astounded by it. I'm like, he's not even making any relevant point. It's like, oh, being white is bad or something like that. Look, I get why people have pride in their ethnicity, and absolutely they should, right? Especially people that have been disproportionately downtrodden and things of that nature.
I like to be very specific here, though. I mean, ethnicity, culture, cultural heritage.
People should have pride
fine.
in all that, but
the second somebody
pride doesn't sound right, but
the second somebody has pride in their race, I get deeply suspicious of that person.
Yeah, because it should be more cultural.
Yeah, but he wasn't saying, how come we don't have more Muslims? How come we don't have more Sikhs? How come we don't have more Jews? He was just saying white.
Yeah, like you said, though, it's proportional representation. What's the proportionality of the constituents there? I mean, in UK, the Muslim population, the last thing I saw was about 4%. No, France. It was France. It was like 4 to 6%, like that. But they have a high degree of visibility there.
Well, and also it's a one-way representative system as well. So people are only interested in proportional representation when it comes to things like the C-suites, executive positions of power. Nobody wants to discuss the fact that there are 40,000 Islamists that are on the terror watch list in the United Kingdom, which is 1 in 100 Muslims, one out of every 100 Muslims that are currently resident in the United Kingdom.
They don't want to mention that.
If you went into
Islamophobia, they call it.
If you went to a large Muslim wedding, you're pretty much guaranteed that you are stood next to in that room an Islamic terrorist.
Yeah,
that's how many. And when you compare that to the rest of the population, it's 1 in 15,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing
you can't.
Well,
I want to,
Johnny. See, America being a melting pot of people, right? We've always had an influx of immigrants. This is what the country is founded upon. We pride ourselves as Americans to be able to assimilate other cultures into our society. We welcome diversity, but when diversification becomes one, illegal immigration, and two, where it becomes an over dominating proportion, that's where things get out of whack. That's not what America was for. And France and UK are finding this out the hard way by allowing such an absolute influx across their border that they're ruining their old cultural identity.
Yeah, and I want to make something abundantly clear as well. I do not have an issue with Muslims specifically. I don't have an issue with any culture specifically. I have issues with particular tenets of certain cultures. Because I'm not a cultural relativist.
Neither.
And but I don't like that. I think there does seem to be a problem with the Islam and the Muslim faith in terms of how sort of tyrannical and how sort of fanatical they can be about their religion, especially when it rubs up against the edges of others. They have there does seem to be sort of an attitude of superiority that gets the West gets accused of on a regular basis. And we're very sort of conciliatory in our approach. Islam as a political and a religious institution is not. They will kick the door down if need be. But the other thing as well that's worth pointing out, like, there are terrorist organizations that are tolerated in the United Kingdom that are not tolerated in other Muslim countries because they see them as terrorists. They see them as too religiously fanatical. They are essentially bad for business as far as those countries are concerned. So it's not a race thing. It's not even a Muslim thing. It's a fanatical lunatic thing. And I don't care what stripe they are. We had the same problems with the fucking crazy nutbags
it's religious
with
fundamentalism,
the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland that were leaving pipe bombs outside of kids' schools. It's the same religious nutbaggery, and it needs to be crushed wherever we find it.
The IRA.
Yeah, but was the whole IRA thing, was it really just over religion? I thought it was over like the whole freedom of Ireland and shit.
No, it was a twofold problem. So basically, the English and the Irish have been having at one another to varying degrees of success for essentially hundreds of years. Northern Ireland is essentially the English cutout, or the United Kingdom's cutout of Ireland. Southern Ireland is a sovereign state in and of itself that's a European member state but isn't part of the United Kingdom. That border was literally defined through war.
Right.
The English wrongly took it, but because Ireland was Catholic and England was a Protestant Church of England monarchy, the violence, it wasn't just a territorial thing, it was also a religious thing. It's actually probably not completely dissimilar to what's happening with Israel and Palestine. There's a land dispute, but the land dispute is exasperated by the clear religious differences. It's made infinitely worse because you've got those two things happening at the same time. Now, a lot of those troubles have simmered down. Now, the new or the real IRA still do exist. But I think everybody has realized that they can, essentially they've decided to engage in politics and business rather than violence, and that has benefited everybody involved.
Somebody asked in the live chat, which is a great question, actually. They said, if Muslims want to live by Sharia law, who are we to tell them they can't? Well, here's the problem. If a group of
adults... They can, just not in my fucking street.
Listen, a group of adults can do whatever the hell they want. The problem is they're not in a isolated society. They're with other people that have to be with that society with them, and they have kids that may not want to be part of Sharia law. If the three of us, of me, Aaron, and John, wanted to go live by Sharia law, you're right. Who cares what we do? If we all wanted to, that's our choice, right? But that's a choice. But
the problem with it is that things like Sharia law, and I want to use more or less the whole Republican Jesus part of Christianity, really more than Sharia law. These things do not abide by our written law, by man's law, by our country's laws.
True.
So that's the problem. When you want to hold your religious law up above the law of the land, we got an issue because the laws of the land they don't pick and choose who it is they protect. They're supposed to blanket everyone equally. And things like Sharia law, they're more or less there to hold back women.
But what if they wanted on a deserted island? Let's say not even a pocket in America, because I agree with you. The law of the land supersedes anything that happens in America. So I don't know if he was asking about America. But let's say the three of us wanted to have Sharia law on some deserted island.
Look, if we found an unclaimed island and the three of us...
Well, hang on. Do I think it's morally wrong? Yes. But am I going to care that much if three, people want to live their lives according to whatever? I really don't have a big deal as long as it doesn't influence and harm other people, which it has to be. But the problem is it never exists in a vacuum. Nothing exists in a vacuum like that.
So the problem with Sharia in Like if you have a state somewhere else in the world that wants to exist, that wants to follow Sharia. Sharia just means law. So when people go Sharia law, they're saying law. But people know what we mean. So when people want to, and it doesn't matter what sort of race or ethnicity these group of people are, if they want to go and live in essentially a Sharia law state, that's fine. The problem is that in the United Kingdom, we have an existing state here that is literally 1,000 years old, longer, depending on how you look at the England as a cultural project. And there have been such huge amounts of migration that have come into the United Kingdom of a particular culture that have a very, very, very strong and stringent religious and legal culture of their own. And when only a few thousand people were coming in a year, it wasn't so much of a problem because everybody had to integrate. But because there are tens, hundreds of thousands that have come in, we've had more migration into the United Kingdom in the last 15 years than the previous 1,000 years combined.
Is that
insane.
Is that legal or illegal immigration? That's illegal.
Combined. We have more illegal immigration coming over into our country today than we had legal immigration coming in 1997.
And that's the problem. Illegal immigration leads to problems.
It's actually not. It's not actually not the illegal immigration. The illegal immigration into the UK, they estimate to be around 50 to 55,000 people last year. The legal migration into the United Kingdom, net, not gross, last year was 700,000 people.
Yeah, but at least you know who those people are. At least they're documented.
That's sort of. The civil service is asking for extra staff because
that's a huge amount.
Our population is 66 million people.
Yeah, that's a huge amount, though.
It's insane. It's more than 1% of our indigenous population.
Are you concerned that UK might be losing its cultural,
absolutely
identity? Because I think that's a fair thing. I think that again.
What cultural identity did the UK have? I mean, the UK consists of so many different cultures and countries for the most part. I mean, they may be similar, but
so just as an example, like the classic sort of like Cockney or which I can't remember what there's an area of London which had like an indigenous London population, and that is gone now. This particular area in London is gone. Those people have essentially moved out of the area and they've been dispersed up and down the country into different areas of London. And this particular culture with this particular sort of artifact in how they spoke, it featured in the bloody Doomsday Book. They were mentioned in Shakespearean plays, and they have gone in the last 25 years. They've gone. It's a part of our cultural identity, an identifiable part of our culture that has now gone. It's gone forever. When you try and identify a particular part of a culture, when you try and lay out a culture, nobody seems to be able to do it well. Even I can't do it well. But it's sort of thing that you know it when you see it. The British tend to have a dislike of bullies. We tend to have a strong sense of fair play.
Well, your foods are very iconic in culture. Your drinks,
we have iconic foods and drinks, but
humor. Your British dry humor is legendary.
Yeah, it's a very dry, like sarcastic and sardonic sense of humor.
I think Aaron should try a British improv course.
But it's also
that'd
just
be like awesome.
Just as a for instance. I know we're going back to sort of Second World War era, and again, our culture has changed a lot. But and when I say we, I don't mean I just mean we, the British. The attitude of the British,
the royal we, yes, the royal we,
was when we were the only European nation. We were the only nation globally that stood up initially against the Nazis. We were at war with the Nazis for 18 months on our own, and we thought we were going to lose. But we did it anyway. It was because the Nazis were a threat to us. I mean, England is one of those countries that's very difficult to invade by virtue of the Channel, and we've always had a very strong air force. Setting the Navy aside.
The British military has always been strong.
Whilst reduced quite significantly in number, the equipment and the training is world class.
The Royal Navy is one of the best.
But the point is that we went to war with the Nazis that had been preparing for war for 15 years because they invaded Poland and its sovereign right to exist. We at least used to be very principled.
See, okay. I don't want to. You said that you when you first mentioned World War II, and you said that the culture has changed a bit since then. I question then, is that really culture? That's more like a fad or whatever, like culture. I think culture, like, okay, so I think back to like the roots of or the origin of a people, I guess you would say, like here in America, we have, the indigenous people, like that's a culture. Okay. Whereas like here in Utica, we have like specific, where I live, Utica, New York, we have a few very famous dishes of food here that pretty much stem throughout all of the 1900s and some of the 1800s and stuff. Like that, I don't think that I would call that Utica's culture really, because like it was that culture, if that food or whatever came about because of all these different other cultures coming together and moving into the city, and then like the depression takes over and people get very creative when that happens.
But there's nothing wrong with culture being part of assimilation. Like America, culture is assimilation. That's part of our culture. Right,
exactly. Yeah. And also too, like, I mean, you're bringing up like a group of people or whatever that was very specific to an area and these other things, and that is very sad to see, like, just up and disappear. It is. I agree with you there. Absolutely.
But it's also very difficult, isn't it? Because like when I was in Miami a couple of years ago, it was my first time in the States, and I went out for breakfast with a friend, and I said, I want like a traditional American breakfast, and I sat down to like fried chicken with waffles, like with Danish waffles and maple syrup, and I was like, okay, where's the American in this?
Fried chicken and waffles are the bomb, man.
There's nothing like waffles and fried chicken.
I had one experience at Waffle House, and I swear to God, I was like, God, California needs them here, because I don't even know where the nearest Waffle House is. It's got to be,
to be honest,
far away. But oh my God,
to be honest with you, I was sort of meh with the breakfast because I couldn't get I was like the maple syrup, okay, maybe, but then like they covered it.
That's Canadian.
But they'd covered it in. That's what I mean, though. Like they'd covered it in icing sugar. It looked like you could ski down it.
Well,
it was mad.
Somebody had posted on Twitter. Okay, I don't remember who it was.
It's not how you do it.
Well, like they had posted that they had biscuits and gravy, but the biscuits were whole, and you're supposed to cut the biscuits in half and then put the gravy on top. And it added some smoked applewood bacon. It would have been perfect, right? But there's certain little things that culturally you just do when you make a certain dish. Like, I don't know if you've had how Benedict, eggs Benedict were made, but you have to make it in a certain order, right? With the ham, and you layer it in the holiday sauce, which is one of the mother sauces. These are all cultural things, right? I mean, sure, you can deviate and make your own things, but culturally, when you say eggs Benedict, there's a specific way to make them culturally,
Yeah. Or like there's eggs Benedict, eggs Royale, but I guess the point is like there's nothing wrong with a culture can seem quite surface level, but it can also seem it also has potentially much deeper undergirdings to it.
If I said poutine, what culture am I talking about? Poutine.
Oh, isn't that like a mustard?
No, what culture?
No, it's cheese.
What culture? It's what?
Isn't it cheese and gravy or something?
It's cheese curds, gravy and fries. But what culture what place is that from?
I don't know.
I want to say Canada, but
Canada, right? So just by naming, but just by naming a food, that's culturally attached. There's a relationship there, because we don't even have poutine down here in the States.
Exactly. You say disco fries and you think New Jersey. So.
Well, but
you say armpit of America. That's New Jersey.
It's other things like Welsh lamb, for example. The Wales is so hilly and rocky and mountainous that you can't really grow. Well, you can grow crops there, but one of the things that has become an export that's almost become part of their culture is like Welsh lamb, and it's because it's one of the few animals that were easy to keep on the land, and that's a direct.
Haggis,
there's a straight line from
haggis for Ireland, or Scotland, whatever. I guess
Scotland.
Scotland,
yeah.
Scotland, yeah.
Do you live in Wales?
What?
Do you live in Wales, John?
No, I live in.
He sounds
England.
nothing like somebody from Wales. Wales has the really hard accent to understand.
My family's from there, so.
So my brother lives in Wales. He moved there a few years ago. We live in England. We live slap bang in the middle. I live in a small town just south of Coventry and Birmingham, which is literally in the middle of the country. There's a tree down the road from my house, which is claimed to be the exact centre of England. But my family. On my dad's side originally is from Ireland. My granddad was an Irish orphan who came to England as a teenager in the 1920s. So that half of my family is Irish, originally from just south of Derry. So they're from Southern Ireland.
Oh, good. Sorry,
but quite close to the border. But there seems to be some sort of Spanish genetics in our history somewhere as well, which is quite common for the Irish, although people don't realize it. But that's because Spain.
I did the 23andMe test, and I had like something like 2 or 3% Ibiza, they called it.
Well, Ibiza is a Spanish island in the Mediterranean.
You're right.
But the thing with what people don't realize between Ireland and Spain is that they had a very, very close relationship by virtue of being Catholic countries. And like during the potato famine and things, a lot of Spanish missionaries came over to Ireland. They brought food with them. They brought, because they were being marginalized by the British, by the English. And it's weird, like when you drive around Spain, like spent quite a lot of time in Spain, like you go into sort of, especially in the northern parts of Spain around like the Basque country, they've got war memorials from their civil war. And when you look at the war memorials, you'll see like a load of names on it. There'll be like Carlos Ferdinand and all these Spanish names. Then all of a sudden in the middle, there'll be like an O'Keefe or an O'Rourke or a Foley or something. And that's because the Irish during the Second World War wanted to fight against the fascists. They wanted to do their bit to fight against the Nazis, but they refused to fight under English colours. So they did their bit by volunteering to fight in the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, my last name is Scots-Irish. I'm Scotch and Irish, McRae from the McRae Clown. But I don't want McDonald's to sue me. It's part of my surname, so I don't want them. McDonald's is really adamant about their Mick whatever. They sue people for that. Somebody asked me though. Chris Christopherson asked, how do you feel about England's colonialism that Great Britain has invaded more countries than more than the rest of the world? Great Britain they're colonizers. They were a expansionist. That's what part of their British monarchy was, expansionism for hundreds of years. I think they've kind of, toned that back, but Great Britain owns a lot of colonies. But America has colonies that a lot of people don't even know of too, right? I mean,
well, gun beats spear. Get over it, bitches.
What's that? What's that?
Gun beats spear. Get over it.
Yeah, they didn't go back on it. I think it kind of transformed over to America when America came to be about. America kind of picked up there and ran with it.
Apartheid was British domination.
So the thing that I think I will take all of the bad. I'll take all of the criticisms. That I'm obviously not going to deny them. They are undeniable. But what I don't like is when people don't also acknowledge the potential good that came out of it.
I agree. Look, every country has its stuff in the closet, right? America is not a saint country by any stretch of imagination. But I think because of our democracy, we are the best in the world. Unfortunately, our leadership sucks. But there's no place else I'd rather be but America. I've been to other countries, and it's not great.
well, I guess what I mean is, I guess when you look at it very much depends on your position. I would not advocate the so I'm not an isolationist. I'm not a cultural relativist, but I do very much think that we should be, other than trade, be as hands off with other nations as is humanly reasonably
You
possible.
believe in sovereign countries, and you believe that countries.
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
I believe sovereignty to a degree, except when they violate human rights.
Yeah, and this is where the not being a cultural relativist comes in. It's like, if I've had it in the past. I've got myself into a little bit of trouble in the past where I've intervened. Where it was years ago now. It was we were wet. I'd just become a father like a few months before. It was I went out with some friends to what we call wet the baby's head. We all got a bit drunk and soppy, and then we were walking home. And there's a park near the top of the town where I live. And this guy was not physically attacking what I presumed was his girlfriend, but was getting up in her face, screaming at her, threatening at her. And we went over and intervened. And this person was drunk out of their mind or off something. And there ended up being a bit of a scrap. I couldn't walk away from that situation because she was at minimum terrified. And if we had have walked away, potentially, now my wife had a right go at me because she's gone, John, you're a dad now. You could have been hurt. And I was like, yes, but I was also seeing this young girl. And in this young girl, I was potentially seeing the face of my daughter being attacked by some lunatic in the street. And then some other guy just walks away from her. You can't walk away from somebody in need like that. And that moral impetus that I think exists between nations as well. When I see like the Uyghur Muslims being literally cut apart for their body parts in China, that is abhorrent to me. And I would want to try and do something about it if we could, but China's just too much of a big beast to tackle.
When certain countries have like nuclear capabilities, like North Korea, there's nothing you can do, right? Iran, nothing you can do. Even though they don't have technically nuclear capabilities, they're well on their way. I mean, we allowed them to enrich uranium well beyond what they need for any kind of peaceful usages. We got screwed by that. We were played straight up. I'm telling you right now.
Fortunately, as it turns out, the rocket technology is actually much more difficult to develop than the nuclear weapons themselves.
For that being said, but that doesn't matter. There's still ways of developing things where you can cross the border.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Well, you can still stick it on a truck and drive it somewhere.
But back in the day when Iran were having these centrifuges, right? They were making uranium hexafluoride.
Stuxnet.
Yeah, well, I was telling people, look, they don't need to enrich it that much for commercial use. Okay, uranium doesn't have to be enriched that much, but they were making weapon grade, 98% weapon grade uranium. And then when we found traces of it, they're like, "Oh, we don't know how that happened. That's intentional. There's no accidental weapon grade uranium. That's intentional."
The thing is though, like I get the scenario you're describing and everything, and the comparison you're coming up with, but sometimes but butting our nose into somebody else's business or another country's business is only going to endanger the citizens there and also endanger our own country. I think that every situation is different. Okay, there are times and instances where that is the route to go, but other times, so I think the best route to go is to just make the pathway to the citizens getting out of there and finding safe land is easy and
I absolutely believe in safe harbor and amnesty and immigration policies for people that are suffering. Look, if they're from a regime where they want refuge and they want to come to America because they're being persecuted, I'm all for that. We have enough land here for that. Absolutely. So
my attitude to migration is actually pretty simple, and it's actually not really got anything to do with the needs of the nation that's taking in the immigration. So yes, we have a huge amount of cultural erosion. Yes, we have major security issues because all of the visas are essentially being rubber stamped. Plus, we're a fucking island. There's no reason that we should have 50,000 people falling into the country a year. But what I mean is we have a 25-mile moat around us. And we do, whilst diminished in number, have a very comprehensive and competent Royal Navy and Coast Guard. There is no reason that the reason that the number of people are coming into the country is because they are being let into the country on purpose. It's not ignorance. It's not mismanagement. It's on purpose. And we can set aside the political reasons for why they're doing that. But my personal preference for migration into the United Kingdom would actually be for almost I would rather see the number massively reduced, and the people that are coming into the country are legitimate asylum seekers. I think there's two reasons for that. One, when you actually save a person, they are grateful and
Yeah,
and
will
really integrate
asylum,
into your
right? Because they are
culture.
grateful. They want the protection.
Yeah.
And I think we should afford that. I think every country,
And
Canada, America,
also,
UK, all of us should afford refugees to allow them to come
so
in, because they're the ones that want the protection.
We do a net good in the world by allowing people into the country that are legitimately and desperately in need. They integrate into the culture, and within a generation or two, they have their own cultural identity.
Because they're coming in illegally, though. Legally makes a huge difference. I will not. I will die on that hill. Illegal immigration doesn't help anybody.
But I also,
has far more problems with legal immigration than there are with legal.
But
Legal immigration we all need. We have to have legal immigration. But illegal problems.
I'm also opposed to, I'm actually, as much as it's been great for Australia, I'm actually opposed to things like points-based systems that Australia use, because I see that as kind of like, it's sort of like reverse colonialism. Like, we used to invade other nations and take their resources and take the people that we wanted that were of use to us. But now, as a Western nation, you know, as an industrialized, you know, Western nation with all the money and all the power and all, you know, we just dangle the carrot of a better quality of life, and we get all these people to bring the resources with them when they abandon their host nation. Like with Indian doctors and things that have been trained on Indian resources coming to the United Kingdom to work in the NHS. I'm like, I think these other countries need their fucking doctors.
Well, no, I get that. Right, we should be stripping away their own all the resources. But I mean, if people want to come in, I mean, it obviously they have it's advantageous for the country. But the problem is that a lot of people don't have the skills to be advantageous for the country, but they still need protection. Those are the ones. Those are the ones we should be protecting the most.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if an Indian doctor approaches the UK civil service and goes, "Hey, I'd like to migrate to the United Kingdom, please," even if we need that person to fulfill a role within the NHS, I think it is incumbent upon us to go, well, no, you're a highly educated doctor in a host nation that has invested in your home nation, that has invested money in training you. You are needed there. In the same way as if all of our UK trained doctors fucked off to another country, it would be a problem for us.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense.
So I think we would, it is incumbent upon us to go, no, you would be an economic migrant. Therefore, I'm afraid we're not letting in economic migrants right now. We don't need you. We will train our own doctors. And then you've got like an actual gay Syrian who's like, excuse me, I'm going to be hung by the neck until I'm dead, and my family's going to be put out of their home. Can I come in, please?
Yeah,
and then we look at that person and be like, well, you have no useful skills whatsoever, but you are legitimately in danger. Please come in.
That's a terrible policy to determine who gains entry into the country. The people that are being persecuted, the people being thrown off roofs, the people being killed because of their sexuality or their political beliefs, those are the ones that should have asylum. That's what asylum is.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the ones that we should end. We should be saying
above and beyond that, though. If you're not seeking asylum, you don't have a need for asylum, and you're just trying to come to this country, you know, and you're like a dime a dozen to others like you in our country, then we're going to turn you down to make room
for the
to secure room for those seeking asylum. Pretty much. I mean, it's basically what he's saying.
I agree. But mind if we switch tracks for we've gone 50 minutes, and I still want. I got a lot of stuff to cover here. You kind of beat this to, but I think that's a fascinating discussion. But I do want to to move on to other things. Is that okay?
Yeah,
of course. I mean, just really sorry, Steve. Really super quick, because there was somebody who asked me a specific question about what my attitude towards sort of like the old English British imperialism. It's a part of our history that should and does bring British and specifically the English a certain amount of shame. That being said, I'm not a cultural relativist, and when we had control over nations and there were some cultural practices, like, for example, widows being burned on the funeral pyres of their husband in some subcultural parts of India. The British Army put a stop to that. Fucking toot sweet. And I think that was, as much as having almost dictatorial control over that nation, that sovereign state, was a bad thing, putting an end to that cultural practice of burning widows to death on the funeral pyre of their husband, I think we can say is objectively wrong.
Yes.
And our moral compass even though we were an occupier of that nation on that specific issue, was superior to that cultural practice, and it needed to be stopped.
Just be careful, because moral relativism is antithetical to moral absolutism. Moral objectivism is antithetical to moral subjectivism. They're kind of different things, but I get what you're saying. But yes, I believe in what's called moral universalism, which is in between moral absolutism and moral relativism, and I also believe in objective morals, as you know. But I think that absolutely.
I approach this from the practical position of, I think there is under almost no circumstances at all ever is it beneficial to anybody involved for a person to be burned to death on a funeral fire.
I would put that into moral universalism. You don't have to put that in absolutism.
Yeah, but that's essentially where my position comes from, and I think, and then you can look at things like the judicial systems that were put in place, the trial by jury of peers, things like the railways that we introduced. All of this sort of stuff, I think, has been massively beneficial. The concept of either a parliamentarian or a representative or a republican democracy has essentially been exported around the world by the British Empire, and that has essentially been continued by the United States in recent years to greater or lesser effect. And I think that, on balance, is a good thing. How we went about it historically was bad. Morally, I cannot get on board with that today, and I wouldn't advocate for it today. But I think we have to look at it as, we have to look at the moral values of the culture of the time, and were they trying to do good? Were they trying to do bad? Were they trying to be evil?
Most cultures, the power countries, right? The countries that are the political leaders, I think most of them try to do what's beneficial, but unfortunately, they also do what's in their best interest.
Of course.
Look at China. China is a super country, but do they give a damn about any other country? No, they're of course only about their self-interest. And are they shady? Yeah. Do they treat their people well? No.
Well, they're also race supremacists as well.
Of course they are. Yes.
So
all of the when you think your all the things that when you're a nationalist, and you think your race is superior, that's a problem. That's where a lot of the issues come about, when you think your religion or your race is superior.
And unfortunately, the Victorian sort of aristocratic upper class sort of attitude was that the white race is superior and the British are the most superior of all of the white races. Therefore, we sit atop the world. That was a very much a Victorian attitude that gave them what they believed the moral authority to go around the world dictating to other people. I think England and to a lesser extent the United States get all of the moral the moral judgment hurled in their direction, because essentially England and Britain, the United Kingdom, won the game of empire. When the music stopped, we were the one left holding all of the sticks, all of the swords, all of the cards. I've
played Civilization.
Yeah.
So,
but
anyway,
that was
that's a good wrap up. So Aaron, I do want to ask you about some certain things in the news that have been popular lately. I don't know how much you've been following about the Nickelodeon stuff, but Dan Schneider, who was a producer for the Nickelodeon show, is under fire. I haven't watched the thing quite on the set yet. I've only seen excerpts. And
you should watch it.
No, I plan to. I absolutely plan to, and I wish I would have before. But I mean, the problem with watching stuff like that is I'm so detest. I mean, the amount of it's repugnant to see that happening back then. When I watched those shows, I grew up. My daughter grew up with iCarly and those kind of shows, right? I've seen everything by iCarly. My daughter loved that show, right? And it was actually a funny show. It was actually pretty good. And then knowing what's happening behind the scenes with McCurdy, and the cast, and then Drake and the Amanda Bynes show, and there was a show called Victorious that I don't think you heard of, because I asked you before, but my daughter would watch the
show. I never watched it though. Yeah.
All right. So you heard of some of the things that they were having, like some of the actors do, right? Some of the foot fetishes and the back rubs and the over sexualization. When these were children. I mean, these were not adults. These were kids. Straight up, 12, 13. When iCarly started, how old was
definitely preteen years, I think, into teenage years. Yeah.
And so there was a show called Victorious with Victorious Justice, and that's where what's her name got her I think start. She played Kat. What's her name? The singer. My God. what's her name? The singer from iCarly. I mean, not iCarly, Victoria's. She played cat on the show. Oh my God! You know the long ponytail hair. I'm drawing a blank here. I'm having a senile moment. Somebody help me! Come on. Has a very good voice. She's a twit, and she's not a good person, but she can actually sing.
Grande.
Yeah, Ariana Grande. Yeah.
Okay.
Ariana Grande. I'm telling you, man. But she got a start on that show, and I had watched an episode once, and I got to tell you, I was like, who the hell wrote this? I was like, this cannot be by accident. This has to be planned. I swear to God, as my witness to this day, when I watched this episode, again, my daughter watched all these shows. She was brought up on Nickelodeon. I was like, this is something that is no way was accidental. And so I want you, Aaron, to look this episode up on Victorious.
Okay.
Okay. The name of the episode was called Survival of the Hottest. And I looked it up myself.
Yep, got it.
Okay. In that episode, they had lost their air conditioning. And it was a bunch of... The girls were older, I think, but I would say they were probably between 16 and 20-something. And probably the actors were probably in there. They probably were adults. I don't remember
It says that, yeah. A heat wave hits LA, and Tori and the gang decide to go to Venice Beach to cool off. However, the gang, minus Kat, who left to use the bathroom, become trapped in Beck's RV when another RV is parked right next to theirs.
Did you mix this in Coke? Diet Coke?
While they are trapped, Kat is busy partying with 4 hot guys, completely oblivious to her friend's predicament.
Real quick, I asked Kano to make me a drink, and I actually just wanted brandy on the rocks, but she meant it with Diet Coke. Look at that, bartender. See those? Ice rocks. Can you see those? Yeah.
Oh, the big giant ice cubes.
Yeah. They're not ice cubes. They're.
Oh yeah. We don't have those at the bar. I have those here though. But
that's actually really good. Thank you.
We have at the bar. We have like the big giant ice blocks, but we have also for May the 4th. We have little Death Star molds to make ice. So the little Death Star ice big cubes.
Oh, that's cool, actually. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. Japan makes wonderful stuff with ice in their drinks. The Japanese baristas. But anyways, this episode was basically these girls half naked, all in sexualized type situations. This was a Nickelodeon show by Dan Schneider, who was the producer and the head writer of the show. Just by looking at the images on Google, do you think that was accidental?
Well, no, of course not. And see, here's the thing, though. It's kind of walking a fine line, because like if you start pointing shit like this out, then it's like you're almost like shaming the girls or whatever. Like, why can't girls wear whatever they want or shit like that? Well, it's not just about the clothes.
It was a kids show. It was a kids show.
I'm looking at the pictures now, and like they're just in bikinis and shorts, whatever. That's fine. I don't give a shit about that. But when you have that along with everything else, though, that is being presented in the show, and this one, it's a problem, especially when it's a bunch of adults who are writing and putting this shit together.
Right.
You know, it's not a bunch of kids putting it together as a play for kids.
And you don't really see it just from the images, because again, you Googled it just like I Googled it. The images there are tame compared to the actual episode, where it was highly sexualized, to say the least.
The problem with a lot of this stuff as well is I have an 8-year-old daughter. We're starting to get to the stage where she's wanting to put on her mum's makeup and all this sort of stuff, like a perfectly natural stage for young girls to go through.
Right.
But the problem with this sort of overly sexualized behavior on TV, specifically around young girls, if I, as a man, grabbed one of these producers and went, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? Why are you putting like borderline softcore porn on kids' TVs with child actors? What the hell is wrong with you?" And they will turn around and go, "Well, if you're the one that thinks that this is sexual, these kids are sexy, you're the one with the problem."
Well, that's projection. That's the turning the tables, right? That's them trying to defend themselves by saying, "Well, wait a minute, it's so overt. This is not somebody who when I watched an episode, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm somehow aroused by that. I was offended. I was like, I do not want my daughter watching this. I mean, it was so overt.
There's a difference though. Like, okay, so if you're just looking at a picture, like I know Katie Joy caught some backlash or whatever not so long ago when she pointed out a picture of someone's kid or something eating a pickle or some shit like that. All right, when you just look
Her
at a
mind
picture
goes
of
to
a kid,
that. Her mind
no,
goes
when
to
you,
that.
when you just look at a picture of a kid eating a pickle, and that's where your mind goes,
Right.
you got issues. I'm sorry.
Right. I
But
agree.
that's not what this is. This
Not at
isn't
all.
just like a one quick still frame of something that's, might be something in some pervert's mind. No, this is, you start watching these things, and it's the show itself that leads your mind there. You don't start there right off the bat. You get led there. That's the difference.
Exactly. And there was an image that was cut, or a segment that was cut of Ariana Grande. And I don't know if you saw it, but she was like pouring water all over her in a sexualized type position.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how she old was at the time. I was she 16, I think, at the time?
It
So
almost doesn't actually. It actually doesn't really matter how old she was. I mean,
it makes no
it would. It would be worse if she was a minor that was underage, but the issue here is the target audience,
Correct.
not necessarily
correct.
the
Yeah,
actors.
That's exactly it. The target
That
audience.
clip, she wasn't okay. The clip was like being disguised or masked as, I wonder if I could drink water upside down. That would be fun, and probably even funny if she actually tried to drink the water upside down, because she probably started coughing and choking on it, and gagging.
Right.
And
Kids would laugh at
all
that.
kinds of unattractive. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's be like, oh my god,
Right.
But that's not what happens. She just laid back and she just poured it all over her neck and shit.
Right.
That's the difference. It's like, nah, why? That's not even what you're trying to do. What are you doing here?
Do you think when she did that scene, do you think she knew what was going on? I obviously Ariana Grande is no saint.
I don't think she
okay?
did. I don't think she did. Like it. I mean, even being a say, would argument's sake, let's say she was 16, being a 16-year-old girl, even in that kind of environment, I don't think someone's mind goes there. That
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, it's more akin. This is less like children's programming, and it's more like like
the word is grooming.
the old. No, but what I mean is, the Coca-Cola adverts where, you've got like a woman who's wearing like yoga pants and like a crop top, and she's been jogging, and, she's sweaty, and they close up on the boobs as she rolls the cold can across her chest to cool down and pops the can and drinks it. That's like a sexualized advert to try and get people to buy Coke. And when you compare the cinematographic,
but I don't have a problem with adult advertisement like that.
No. But what I'm
had some brilliant ones back in the day. Brilliant. Oh my god.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Steve, is that those are advertisements that are overtly making use of a sexualized behavior in order to try and sell a product.
For adult audience, sure.
But what I mean is, if you put the Ariana Grande scene where she's pouring water over herself, and then you put like a Coca-Cola advert like that side by side, they look the same. So, and one of them intentionally uses. You need to explain to me how one of them is intentionally using sexualized behavior, and one of them isn't, even though they're basically the same scene.
See, I watched.
They must be intentionally using sexualized behavior.
Did you watch the interview with Dan Schneider when he was interviewed by Boogie, right? It was bad. I mean, I'm sorry, but
there was no interview.
It was what?
There was no interview. I mean, it was disguised or it set up to claim to be one, but I understand
why Boogie. I don't know. I don't watch him very much. I know of him. I understand why he built it the way. I mean, I'm sure he was just like, hey, look, I'm not going to dog you that much. I guess they are in real life friends or something like that. Or at least they have a respect to each other. So he wasn't going to be too overtly antagonistic. Right. But it was a very softball interview, to say the least. But his reactions, Dan Schneider's reactions, were what I would expect for somebody who knows full well what he was doing at the time. That he knew full well that he was overtly doing this. And he could say, well, it was just, it was the time, it was ever. And that's not an excuse, by the way, by any stretch of imagination. But there was something fundamentally about him where he was living out whatever predilections he has by using Nickelodeon and using TV to do so. There is no doubt about it. Jeanette McCurdy
it's just art, man. It's art.
McCurdy had said this from day one. Amanda Bynes had been saying it for years. You saw that Amanda Bynes had a Twitter account that she had put out there. What, Dan did it? She was telling people that she had an abortion, I guess, when she was 13. And I don't know if she actually came out and said whether it was his. But
allegedly, it was his. Yeah, I don't know.
That's some messed up shit right there, man. But again, I understand that cartoons have always had a nod, a wink to the adults, right? I understand. Look, Bugs Bunny goes way back. There was there was an episode in Bugs Bunny called I don't remember the name of the episode, but basically he was denied like the Emmy or an Oscar or something like that, and so he wanted to put his best film stuff to the Academy Awards, and it came up on the screen stag film, and anybody prior to anybody who lived back in the 50s and 60s knew a stag film meant a porno. By the way, if you're Gen X or Gen Millennial, you're not going to know that reference, and as a kid, you're not going to know that reference, right? But a stag film was a porno.
They've done that for ages, and it's a little hat tip to the parents to make the parents chuckle, to make the kids' TV that they're being forced to watch durable.
Like I was saying earlier about the Rugrats,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did that with the Rugrats. The difference is, though, the Rugrats was a cartoon voiced by adults.
Yeah.
So it wasn't kids being made to act these things out or say these things or whatever.
Well, the Rugrats.
I mean, like, so when one of the babies, calls another one a rug muncher or something, like you pointed out, it's
it was a carpet. It was a biker gang, the Carpet Munchers.
Oh, Carpet Munchers. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the biker gang came in and they started eating the carpet. And again, no kid is gonna. That's not overtly sexualized because no kid's gonna understand these references.
Right.
And I understand that, right? But when you have somebody suggestively pouring water over themselves, that's a little bit more sexualized, to say the least. That's something that's more imagery-wise.
Trying to squeeze potato juice out of a big giant potato.
If we can just go back to the actors themselves quickly, because as much as the target audience and the content of the programming, I think is definitely the more significant part of it. The actors themselves or the actresses themselves, it must just. Britney Spears comes to mind here. Obviously, overly sexualized content through Disney goes on to become like a pop star that. Even as a young girl, was doing massively over-sexualized content, getting all attention from grown men, and she's broken now. She's just.
They broke her a long time ago, and I think it was by design. It was.
Well, here's something interesting about that. Okay, so like throughout while she was under her conservatorship, there are certain events she was obligated to attend or perform at. Things like a billionaire's birthday party, whose cake she had to jump out of, private parties she had to attend and whatnot. Okay, well, there's been a lot of comparisons made between like things like that and say with certain contracts of groups like the Pussycat Dolls or Danity Kane is another one. So basically, like. The obligations set forth in their contracts are that they have to attend these certain private parties, these corporate parties or these like personal parties or whatever. And it's really shady with the way things are written up. Like, it's almost like not that they're expected to perform, in the working girl sense, but that they're kind of expected to perform in the working girl sense. You know what I mean?
By the way, was that? I just thought, was that a good segue to the P Diddy thing with the Aubrey O'Day from Dating to King? There's a correlation.
I wasn't trying for that, but yeah, it can be.
But I don't want to segue there yet. But real quick, I see. Let me put my position out there. I think the culture, and this again, not cultural relativism, and this is not a defense. But I think the culture was for the 80s and 90s and things of that nature where they thought they'd get away with this stuff, that was acceptable, and they didn't think there would be any ramification for it. Look what happened with Bill Cosby. He was the roofing of the girls' drinks. He didn't think he was going to get caught. He didn't think it was any big deal. That was his mindset was probably, this is the way it is. I'm rich. I'm powerful. I'm famous. I can get away with this stuff.
Yeah, there was obviously
he didn't think for a second he was going to get caught or none of them did.
Well, and even now, because weren't his convictions overturned?
Well,
something.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I heard about that. You're right.
He's still persona non grata because people obviously are aware of his behavior. Or his alleged behavior, I should say, since it's been broadcast on YouTube.
I'm not going to say alleged; it's straight up. But
what I mean is, in the eyes of the law, he's still an innocent man.
No, well,
right.
So
Judy Rock did a video where he was basically coming to bat for Bill Cosby. It was fucked up. I got it in one of my videos somewhere, but
who was?
Yeah, Unirock.
Oh, who? I don't remember. I barely remember who that guy was.
I know. I'm just saying it's fucked up. Like, okay.
not the most unhinged thing Unirock has done, and that's so just advocating for a rapist.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, Unirock advocating for
item number 27 on the list of insane shit Unirock's done.
Yeah, no surprise. Yeah, that. Well, yeah. Somebody mentioned Riley had mentioned Epstein, which is a good actually segue to the P Diddy thing, because people are now putting Epstein's island relating to P Diddy's Learjet. Believe it or not, they say his Learjet was basically and what's called what do you call it, flavor camp.
Well, I'm not usually that conspiratorial, but unfortunately,
I'm not either. But there's fire there. There's absolute fire there.
Yeah,
there's so much fire there. I'm not conspiratorial either, but
the other night.
He did. I'm sorry, but he didn't commit suicide. Ain't no way you could convince me to commit suicide.
He didn't. But I was just saying this on stream the other night. What's the most frustrating thing about whenever one of these assholes gets caught, like whether it's Weinstein or Epstein or fucking P Diddy or Bill, whoever, is that you start to think and wonder and seriously consider that maybe some of the crazy ass shit that these conspiracy theories were coming up with about kids being fucking trafficked and everything in underground tunnels in New York City or whatever. Like, holy shit.
Maybe there
seems to be a little bit of truth here to this shit. It's a
Corey
fucking
Feldman
crazy
had been
part.
saying this from the 80s, Aaron. From the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what I think the most likely thing with the Epstein thing is? So I think it was some 3-letter government agency who got Epstein to try and represent a legitimate business like a currency trader to essentially launder CIA or whatever funds. And then they also decided to use him to leverage people by, he was a pedophile himself, and they decided, I think they probably wanted him to get people of influence in compromising situations. So that this 3-letter government agency.
Absolutely CIA
used
him to.
Well,
they got shit on people. They got shit on people.
But what I mean is, not only do we know that the CIA and these other shady agencies have done this exact thing in the past, but then what I think potentially has happened is Epstein has just gone off on a power trip and potentially started acting under his own devices. And he's worked his way through the academic institutions and through famous people, and essentially invited them out to his island. And it just got so big.
He went rogue.
He went rogue, basically.
I think you're right on that. I think you're absolutely right. And you can't prove it. This is pure opinion, but I think you're absolutely right.
Pure speculation.
Do I think the CIA has dirty hands? Absolutely. I don't think the CIA gives a shit about kids.
Well,
I think they'll use anybody for kind of intel advantage.
Supposedly one of the biggest currency traders in the world that nobody has ever actually traded with. Where the fuck did that?
It's funny, John. I put on Twitter. I asked people what do you think is my most radical view. Right? I was actually sincere. I legitimately want to know what people think, because some people think I'm controversial, and I don't think I'm controversial at all. I really don't. But I want to know wait, listen. What is my most controversial view, right? And nobody talked about anything relating to like the CIA and the government, anything like that, which I have my own views on, because I was part of the government. I know the government lies. I've seen it firsthand. I was literally there. I've seen the government put out misinformation. Okay, it happens. If you think otherwise, you're deluding yourself. Okay, but the most controversial thing that people were saying was, "Oh, your stance on agnostic atheism."
Yeah.
I'm like, really? That's the word. That's the most radical view I got, which is not even radical. I'm like, wow. I was like, if they only knew. Because Aaron, you've heard me explain before when we were doing we just got done doing Leo Ops, which was law enforcement operations, and we were heading out to an atoll off the coast of Hawaii, somewhere in Hawaii, and we were disposing of weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons. I think it was VX or sarin gas, whatever. We were escorting ships that had these weapons on board that didn't exist, and yet we were telling people that we were, still doing Leo Ops or whatever the hell we were doing, which we were like, this is bullshit. This is not what we're doing. But of course, they didn't want Greenpeace, and they didn't want people to know what the actual operations were. That's fair. I get why they do that.
That's perfectly reasonable.
Absolutely. No, I'm not against that. I don't want to deal with the Greenpeace either. But we all knew go with that. Hey, look, this was not the actual operation we're doing.
When you're transporting when you're transporting illegal biological weapons through international waters in order to destroy them, you do not send up a flare to that whole fucking planet and go, "Hey guys, guess what we're doing?"
Yes.
Of course, that's perfectly reasonable.
I think there's time but I also think that the government lies in other instances as well, because again, they have people with positions in power that think that their own political ideology supersedes that of any kind of ethical decencies. So,
but the thing with
that's my most radical view is that I love this country. Don't get me wrong, but do I think that the government has the best intentions to its people? No.
Well, that's the thing, though. The government is you. The government is me. The government's all of us.
We like to believe that.
It's not like some foreign entity or whatever that like none of us have a connection to. It's made up of people, So this what bothers me when people are like, you can't trust the government or whatever. I don't think the government is not something that can be trusted or should be trusted. Trust doesn't apply to the government. It's the people who are forcing the government out. That's who you have to address. And if there's people there who are there to do harm, are there to like be corrupt and manipulate or whatever, then you need to replace those people.
Well, okay. That I agree with you. I agree with you, but how do you do that?
Everyone will become corrupt.
So
wait. How do you? But how do you do that?
You have to switch people out.
Look what happened. Look what happened to Scotland with what's his name, the Parliament guy, John. The one we were just talking about, that one guy,
Hamza Yusuf.
Yeah, how the hell do you get him out? How did he get in the first place?
He wasn't elected in. So Nicola Sturgeon tried to put a transgender woman, a biological man, in a female prison after this individual.
You're gonna get arrested. You can't say that.
Well, fuck them. After this person had been convicted of 2 sexual assaults.
Yeah.
And then politically it fucked up. She ended up having to and Hamza Yusuf was essentially her second in command, so he just sort of slid into her position. He's not actually been elected. In the same way as Rishi Sunak hasn't been elected, and the leader of the Welsh Parliament hasn't been elected. Currently in the United Kingdom, we are not represented by anybody who has actually been voted into the position of leadership within the party, other than by their own internal party political structures. That's not been put to a public vote.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. I think here on the local level, we have people that are not, one, voted in, and two, a lot of people don't even know who they vote for. But a lot of people get into local politics, and they're just they follow somebody else's because that position opens up, and they just go in that position.
You know when people say that a leader has been installed, right, rather than elected. That is exactly what has happened in the United Kingdom for both England, Scotland, and Wales.
America's not that far behind when it comes to that. I mean, I am so sick of both the Democratic and Republican Party. I would never vote for Biden or for Trump. I think both of them are. If that's the best we've got for our country, I don't even know how we can consider ourselves to be a superpower anymore in the world of geopolitics.
Well, we have supposedly we've got the Labour Party, who are supposed to represent the working class man, which don't. Then we've got the Conservative Party, who are supposed to represent sort of traditional Protestant conservative values that don't. Then we've got Reform, which is sort of like in a sense. Well, then we've got the Liberal Democrats, who are neither liberal nor Democrat because they hoisted themselves trying to overturn Brexit in a very unliberal and undemocratic manner. Then you've got Reform.
I'll never understand Brexit. I've literally had shows on Brexit, and I swear to God, as my witness, I will die never understanding Brexit.
Well, Brexit is a fairly simple, straightforward thing to understand.
No, it's not.
What I mean is, in terms of the potential motivations of the people.
But I'm talking about the actual policies of how they're going to actually do it.
I see what you mean. No, that's because our league.
Simple. Yeah, let's succeed from this, and let's have independence.
So I think
parts of the union, but how do they actually do that in principle?
I don't think there was a way to do it overnight. I think because
it's been how many years,
English,
John?
Yeah, but English. So 1972, I think, is when we joined the European Union.
Yeah.
And again, we weren't fucking asked.
But when did they vote it out? When did they vote to leave?
2016.
2016. They still haven't been able to figure out how to do it yet.
Well, they've not been able to figure out how to do it because none of our party political infrastructure, none of our politicians actually wanted to leave. They all wanted to stay in
Right.
because
It's the
they
people,
saw it
but
as
the
a
people
new
that
gravy
wanted it,
train.
but the people didn't know what the hell they were voting for.
Well, no. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that. So, in terms of the intricacies of how we separate English common law,
but wait. Do you really think that when the people voted for Brexit, they knew exactly what they were voting for? Because I just don't.
I think it depends. I think everybody had different motivations. I think
Sure,
people who were voting, people who were voting to stay in the EU were doing it almost exclusively because of the perspective of the economic argument. We'll be better off if we stay in, etc.
Right.
Whereas the people who voted to leave voted for a few reasons. I think, which is actually, so I was really torn because the economic argument to me, at least in the short term, did make sense. We had a lot of interconnectivity. There are a lot of trade agreements that were contingent on us being membership state. And there was, as you rightly say, a degree of confusion or uncertainty about how we navigate through this.
Well, yeah, they didn't have the game plan. They didn't have it planned out before they voted on it.
So, but
that was an afterthought.
But my issue with and I genuinely, even as I was walking up to vote, I was legitimately torn. I didn't really know how I was going to vote. I was very much undecided. After the fact, I'm now Brexit all the way, because after the political institutions were given their democratic mandate to act, they did their fucking damnedest not to. So my position is now just fuck you very much.
No, and by the way, I'm not against. I'm not pro or con. I mean, it doesn't affect me either way.
One of my issues with my single biggest issue with the EU is that it is inherently an undemocratic institution. So MEPs, the members of European Parliament, who are the people that we do elect in our European elections that we obviously used to have, there are essentially our elected representatives that go and present themselves to the European Parliament. Now, in the UK Parliament, an MP, any MP, can present a bill in law that they would like other MPs to vote on. And that bill in law can essentially come from one of their constituents. They could get a petition together, go, hey, I'd like to present this new law to Parliament, and it can be voted on, right? Which means that there is a straight line between individual citizens presenting a potential law through their MP that can be presented on the floor of Parliament and can be voted on. It's not a simple process. It's not an easy process. There's a high bar for entry, but it is in principle something that can happen. In the European Parliament, MEPs can only vote on legislation that is presented by the European Commission, and the European Commission aren't elected. They are installed. They're chosen by a shady committee who nobody knows who they are. So all of the legislation is top down, not bottom up. And also, it's an
but how does that benefit the people?
Well, this is my issue. It's not. I was torn between the economic argument of being in the free trade zone, which I don't have a problem with, and the principled argument of the undemocratic internal structure of the European Parliament that was dictating terms to a sovereign nation. I was trying to balance these.
UK politics is way more complicated than ours.
But I was trying to balance these two issues, because I had a principle on one hand where I was like, I absolutely know my position on this principle, but I was also looking at the economic argument. And the thing is, when we joined the EU was not a European Parliament. It was a trade zone. It was a commission. It was a trade commission. And all that it was supposed to be doing was sort of unifying things like manufacturing standards, so that we didn't have all these crazy ass.
You can have trade and manufacturing standards without moving away from the EU and disassociating yourself.
So in an ideal world,
you can still have those, can't you?
We absolutely can. But we can choose. Now, the fact is that British manufacturing standards in almost all ways are superior to those of the continent anyway. But the European Parliament did stupid shit. Like, this is going to sound really trivial, but it's just an example of their bureaucratic bullshit reaching unnecessarily into another nation. So the EU decided that the one-man safe lift was 20 kilos, not 25 kilos. Right. So all of the aggregates and stuff in our like hardware stores and things were sold in 25 kilo bags. Right. They dictated that they had to be in 20 kilo bags. So all of the manufacturers started putting the goods into 20 kilo bags, right, to conform with EU law. Totally unnecessary, because anybody who's lifting bags on a regular basis, like on a building site, but what I mean is you don't get your cement and stuff on a building site delivered in 25 kilo bags. It comes in a ton bag and it's forklifted around. The 25 the safe working lift is designed for the occasional lift. It's not designed for the daily lift. And I know this
we have
because
similar things here. They're called OSHA over here, though.
OSHA, yeah, Office of Safety and Health, something, yeah. But my point is that the net result of this piece of legislation that reached into a system that we already had that worked fine for us was that the bags reduced in weight by 20%, but the price stayed the fucking same.
Oh, so you reduced volume, but the price went up. Or the price stayed the same. You get less you get less for your money.
But by volume, the price went up per kilo. The price went up.
Yeah. Well, it's the same.
I was like,
but that's again some of the things that economically speaking people don't look into the nuances of. Right now, Canada has a similar problem with Trudeau. I don't know if you looked on the carbon tax, but they're having the same problem with you have the manufacturer paying a carbon tax. Then you have the manufacturer shipping, which the shipper has a carbon tax, and the shipper pays the wholesaler for a carbon tax, and the wholesaler sells it to the distribution, and the distribution pays a carbon tax. Every single step plays this weird carbon tax. By the time it gets to the consumer, it's 3 times or whatever the value of what is what you're paying for, what you actually get. Oh my God, Aaron, that's such a pretty kitty.
Well, I'll give you another example.
Hang on, John, kitty. Sorry, we like animals here, okay?
Well, I'm sat next to 2 beagles on the sofa right now, so
I swear to God, as my witness, one of the biggest litmus
I'll put my flat cap on.
One of the biggest litmus tests is how
you're trying to eat my peeps.
how you treat animals is one of the biggest litmus tests to me. Is if you're a decent person.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't all inclusive, but I'm sorry, but if you harm animals, you are just a piece of shit.
Well, there's a reason why one of the early warning signs of sociopaths is cruelty to animals, isn't it?
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Yeah, but just quickly, another example of so the EU passed a bill stipulating that all mobile phones sold within the borders of the EU, all 27 member states, the phone charger cables all had to be Type-C phone charger cables. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand why they did it, because the Type-C phone charge cable is essentially superior to almost any other type of phone charge cable that currently exists. It is a good product, and I don't begrudge them acknowledging that it is a good product.
Right.
The problem that I have is that the way that we got to the Type-C phone charge cable is because different companies had different ideas and manufactured them, put them into the market to be tested. Right. So we're now in the situation where the Type-C phone charge cable is never going to be improved upon, because in order for somebody to invest in trying to develop another product, they've not only got to invest in the development of the product, but they've now got to lobby an unlobbyable political institution to lift this piece of legislation that prevents it. Otherwise, there's no economic reason to. They've put their thumb on the scale of the free market. And also, it becomes a slippery slope thing. It's okay, we've got government issue phone charge cables. Well, why don't we just have government issue phones? Oh, well, and how about government issue cars and government issue this and government issue that, because they know best.
I always everything go Type-C. Everything all my phone chargers are Type-C.
But my point is, it doesn't matter if the Type-C is the best product on the market right now. It won't necessarily always be the best product on the market, but it's also a principle of free market. It's a principle of an open democratic process. The EU does not conform to any of those principles, and they are core principles to me. So when I was approaching this institution, I was like, you're authoritarian, fuckface. And does it really matter that there's a good economic argument for continue being hitched to you? Yeah. Or do we need to just get loose? But I don't actually think we're much better in the UK.
You're thinking, you're now, fuck the charger. Why isn't everything wireless?
Well, because it's not as efficient. But
it's nothing like as efficient.
But it should be. It can be. You know, I mean, never mind worrying about what charger it is companies have to adhere to or whatever. How about we start just pushing for companies to just go fucking wireless?
Well, because wired charging is faster and is more cost effective. But Lamundi makes a good point about shrinkflation. There is shrinkflation in California especially, but in the States, and he's talking about laundry detergent. But it's the same principle. Look, you can have a certain amount of detergent that you sell for a certain amount of ounces. He says like 20 ounces. And then you can have A different amount. And what people are actually doing, I swear to God, people are actually doing this in California. They're taking laundry detergent and they're pouring it into other, let's say I have like 20 ounces and 20 ounces. They're pouring the laundry detergent in it to get more, which is theft, by the way. It's retail theft, and this is my specialty is loss prevention. That's theft. No matter how you look at it. But it is due to shrinkflation. But people want to get more for their value, but because they're paying more and getting less.
Well, do you have wagon wheels in the States?
Wagon wheels?
Yeah, so it's a large round biscuit with marshmallow and jam sandwiched between them, and the whole thing's dipped in chocolate.
That sounds like a completely that's a British thing.
But they were sort of in the region of sort of like
something else. We do have them though, yes.
But they're about 4 inches in diameter. And basically, in my childhood, they were famed for doing this. Over the course of about a year, they progressively got slightly smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually they brought out, and then they brought out the original size again, labeled as 25% extra large. Yeah,
I went to Carl's Jr. the other night. I was giving Kano some roommate alone time, right? Because we live
pinwheels.
together.
They're called pinwheels here. That's right.
Yeah, I've heard of it. So I went to Carl's Jr. right, and I got a Carl's Jr. burger, and I swear to God, this thing was the smallest motherfucker thing I've ever seen in my life as far as a burger. And it was one of the deals they were having. Finally, I got one of their onion ring country western things, which are pretty good actually. Their country what is it? The onion ring burger, mesquite, really freaking good. But this little burger that I got that I remember as a Carl's Jr. burger used to be decent. This was thinner than a McDonald's burger. This was not.
Oh, so it was just a really thin patty.
This was not a dude. It was like that with a piece of lettuce and like pickle. There was nothing.
It was a steak.
It's like a wafer thin beef sandwich, basically.
This was not. I'm sorry, but Carl's Jr. This was sad. But yeah, I mean, but that's the standard nowadays because of shrinkflation. Do you remember back in the day when you get an Angus burger, and it was an Angus burger, it was like that thick? Those motherfuckers were good, right?
Burger King still has
the best value.
Sorry.
Even though Burger King got rated the worst as far as health wise, Burger King still has the best value for the buck for a Whopper. Oh my God, yes.
I mean, based on my, I spent a couple of weeks in Florida. A couple of years ago, flew into Miami, spent 3 nights in Miami, which was great, and then we drove across the Everglades to Sanibel for a friend's wedding in a hotel there. We just missed that tornado a few years ago that pancaked everything. Actually, we flew out like 3 days before that landed. But based on the portion sizes that I've been treated to in the United States, I do not know for the life of me how you'd be able to identify shrinkflation and all of that.
Because you look, because all you do is say, "Look, I paid let's say I paid $10 a pound. Now I pay $12 for a pound. I'm getting or actually even 0.8 of a pound because I'm getting less and I'm paying more."
Yeah, but a lot of it isn't. So, like what Walker's here, but Lay's in the States, they're the same company. What they did is they brought out like these bigger grab bags. But then when you look at the weight, if you look at the weight in the grab bag, it's the same weight as what was in the original. It's just a bigger bag, so it looks like you're getting more.
Oh,
so people go and buy the bigger bag.
Go look at chips. I'm cutting back on my salt because my blood pressure was high, so I have to cut back on my salt. Right, my doctor was like, "No more salt." I'm like, "Screw you," but I'm like, "No, I'm kidding." If you look at chips, if you notice a chip bag is that big, they have a window that's this high, that's completely full.
Yeah.
But the rest is all air.
Yeah.
That's by design. That's by design.
Yeah, no, it's by design. So I did get it, but it's I was being a bit sort of like tongue in cheek with the I don't know how you'd identify it, but it is.
I get you. But the reality is, I swear to God, since Koof, economics has gone to shit. I took micro and macroeconomics, and I got to tell you, it was the hardest courses I ever took. I don't understand I got a B in macroeconomics and microeconomics, and to this day, I faked it. I will tell you right now, flame me all you want, but I faked the fuck out of economics. Okay, it was rote memorization. Keynesian curve, sure. blah blah blah. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I swear to God, as my witness, I had no idea what I was doing. Gross national product. Oh, sure, it's defined as this. Didn't understand it with a damn. Right.
So the problem with I think the problem with economics is like a lot of things. The foundational principles are actually relatively straightforward. It's the application of it's the business end, it's the day to day that becomes insanely complicated.
That might be true. Yeah, that might be true.
Because things like the concept of like a Pareto distribution or something like that is actually pretty straightforward because it's almost like naturally occurring. We see it in physics, we see it in economics. And as a principle, it's not. Particularly difficult.
I agree with you. There's some fundamental objective realities when it comes to economics. But do you also agree that we are now spending far more for far less, and inflation has gone skyrocketing, and that I think is by design. I think they're actually wanting inflation at this point. That's probably the most radical view. Is that
the reason they want inflation is because inflation reduces in real terms the amount of national debt that they have in terms of the rate that they have to pay it back.
But the balance still goes higher. The national debt is very high, but the interest on it is going to be minimal. But I mean, what's now how many trillions of dollars is it now for America?
It's like 33.
That's insanity. How, you can never get off from under
it is it is in principle now. It is in principle impossible to pay back. And then
how much land is China own from America? How much of that debt is for China? The vast majority is to China.
But the problem I have with the sort of like the business end of the economics is that we had, so I can't remember which minister it was. He was our equivalent of the chief financial officer in the United Kingdom. And who was it? It might have even been Rishi Sunak, actually, who said that there was no link between the amount of money that they'd released in relief funding through COVID and to the current rate of insane inflation.
Absolutely. There's a direct correlation.
But this is like an emperor's. Of course there is, and this is like an emperor's clothes.
Of course there is.
Because
trillions of dollars how can there? Yes.
How can there not be a link between insanely high inflation
they made
after
more
you've printed?
Money, said, "Here you go," but it's worth less.
It's a fiat currency, you dickhead. It has to be connected.
All money in America is a fiat currency. That's why when people say, "Oh, my house is worth $500,000," no, it's fucking not. Well, it is technically, but that $500,000 is not because that is worth more. It's because the dollar is worth less. That's exactly what it is.
It's like I was trying.
Wait, hang on.
My electrician.
Hang on 1 second, John. They're bashing on the Angus burger on the live chat. Sorry, not the anus burger. although nowadays, man, you
dependent on where you go, it could well be made from a collection of assholes. Yeah.
Do you know that America still can't eat lungs? Do you know there's an embargo on animal lungs? Haggis, which is made from liver and I think and stomach and lungs.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, it's all what they call the offal. So, like the renal system, like
Aaron,
would
you eat an anus burger? Aaron, would you eat an anus burger?
I would prefer not to. Not if I can help it.
I wouldn't even care at this point.
See, I'm sorry. I'm one of those weird people who,
properly.
The minute I found out what hot dogs are made out of, I've not had a hot dog since.
Really?
I just said, yeah.
Hot dogs are made out of hot dogs are made out of mechanically separated chicken, pork, and beef parts. Mechanically separated.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I remember McDonald's got raked over the coals for what was in their chicken nuggets, and I was like, I couldn't make my mind up about it because it's what they call mechanically reclaimed meat.
Right, exactly.
And essentially what they do is they get they get the chicken carcass and they essentially jet wash it to get all the meat off of it, collect it all up.
Everything's left over, the gelatin, the visceral,
But what I mean is if a housewife or a house husband was doing that after they'd had a roast chicken dinner, that would be considered thrifty and prudent. But the second that a company does it,
make soup.
Yeah, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, I personally don't care. To me,
it's perfectly healthy, viable protein. Just because it's in an awkward part of the chicken that's difficult to get to and it's not considered a prime cut.
Yeah, it doesn't faze me.
Yeah, The bit that I didn't like about it was the fact that the food hygiene standards on where some of the meat was coming from.
That's my biggest issue when it comes to food. Look,
that's a totally different issue.
I don't care what cut you eat or anything like that, or wherever it comes from. The hygiene, the way it's prepared, is absolutely of utmost importance to me.
Well, and it's like the chlorine washed food and chicken. I have a real issue with it because I think it speaks to people's motivations. Like I heard somebody saying, like, if you chlorine wash a chicken, then you
things you don't do with chicken. You don't just use detergent. You don't use chlorine. You don't. That's not how you prepare chicken properly.
But the argument
you don't even need to wash chicken. You just need to prepare it right.
But the argument from this particular legislator was that chlorine washed chicken is safer because you could literally kick the chicken around the floor of the abattoir, chlorine wash it, and it's perfectly safe to eat. I'm like, but do I want somebody to be able to drop kick a chicken across an abattoir, chlorine wash it, and then put it on my plate with now? I'd just rather the chicken.
I love my chicken, okay, and chicken. You can cook chicken as low as 140 degrees for a long period of time. It's not suggested, but you can. But you get a good internal temperature about 165 degrees. Kano is in food services. She knows all about this shit. She has to take studies on this. And I happen to prepare chicken a lot. I like my chicken. But I got to tell you, at 300 degrees, right, between 270 and 350 is where I think chicken should be the best cooked because it's slow roasted. It gets the fat rendered, and it makes it very moist.
I do them on my Komodo all the time. I've got a Komodo grill in the back garden, and when we do like roast chickens on Sundays, I do it on that. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people cook chicken to death. It's it's like a rubber ball. I'm like, what the fuck have you done to it?
Rubber. Look. I've gone through the gamut. I made chicken that were rubbery. It was so ill prepared, right? I figured out over years what's the best way to make chicken, and I'm telling you, 350 in an air fryer is the absolute best. Aaron, have you got yourself an air fryer yet?
I have one, and I've tried it. I've used it, but I don't like how shit comes out.
I'm sorry. You know what? We can't be friends any longer. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that there's so this
I love my air fryer.
I had this air fryer like 4 years ago. Okay, so maybe there's better ones out now or whatever, but I didn't like how.
What do you cook?
Air fryers.
What do you cook stuff at? What temperature?
I don't know. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I used it. It's sitting in my basement.
300 to 350 is the best for everything.
We use the air fryer mostly for like chips. We use the air fryer mostly for chips, chicken, and everything. Because the thing is, because obviously I've got 2 young kids, and they love chicken nuggets, they love chips, they love fish fingers, all that sort of stuff, like typical like quintessential kids food. And the thing is, if you're going to do it in the oven, because the oven has a significant thermal mass to it, you turn the oven on and it takes 10 minutes to heat up, and then it's 15 minutes to cook the food.
Right.
Whereas in the air fryer, because it's much more reactive,
3 minutes to heat up.
Yeah, and that makes much more sense.
Yeah. See,
the problem is
350 is the perfect temperature. I agree with Really Care. 350
but with the air,
perfect.
But with the air fryers, because they are a constant energy input, if you're going to cook for a protracted period of time, you're actually better off using the oven because the oven has a thermal mass to it. And whilst it takes longer to get up to temperature, it's a more efficient long-term cook.
No, I agree. Look, and I agree with you, but you don't always want to like sit there and wait for an oven to preheat. I think the air fryer for making small dishes. I put everything in the air fryer for the most part, unless I want to deep fry something.
The reason
go ahead.
The reason I mention it isn't actually got so much to do with the quality of food that comes out of it, which I agree is great. But we had sort of like an epidemic in the UK of every silly bugger going out and buying an air fryer and getting rid of their ovens because they'd heard it was cheaper and the cost of electricity was going through the roof. And they actually ended up costing themselves more money because they were trying to cook like a whole roast dinners in them, and they were on for hours, and their energy bill was through the roof. Yeah, exactly.
Your air fryer should probably no more run for 30 to 40 minutes maximum. There's no ever reason to run an air fryer more than that. Ever. But I sold air fryers at one time, so believe it or not, a long time ago. But I do like my air fryer. But yeah, I cook a lot of stuff in the air fryer. But I also, if I want to make a dish where I have to deep fry something, then I'll actually put corn oil, and then I'll like just fry it up that way. But
there are some things that if you want it authentically fried, there is no substitute for a lot of oil, and that's just I don't think that's.
I gotta cut back on my fried food. I cut back on my salt. I've cut back on my sugar. I've cut back on cholesterol, but I will not. I like my I still like my fried food.
They're like the three main food groups. The only thing you've missed out there is the BCBs, the burnt crunchy bits.
Those are the best. Yeah. Yes, I actually, the only thing I regret is I got rid of my cast iron skillet. I really wish I had a good cast iron skillet that's been seasoned properly. That's the only thing I regret. But I mean, I've started cooking a lot lately because I want to cook my own stuff. I don't like going out and buying fast food unless I absolutely have to, right? But I've been making, like this month, I told Kano salads because my doctor's like, you got to reduce your salt. You got to. So this is how I make it. What's wrong with my salads? My salads are good. Okay, she's like, you're gonna eat your salads. So I got iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, carrot, onion. I have some scallions, but I also got yellow onion. Then I also, but a seasoning I use salt, just a pinch of celery salt, not actual salt, but it has some salt. The celery salt, pepper, and then olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I make a most perfect salad. It's almost like a rum and coke night, huh? Whatever. Look. When's the last time I had a drink? It's been months. Yeah, it's been months since I had a drink. I don't drink that often at all. But today, like I said, I felt really decent today. I can't say I felt great because I've always been fucking feeling like shit in the last couple months. But today was the first day where I was like, you know what? I actually feel decent. And I got some pain pills. I was like, pain pills are good.
Yeah, it's funny, but my wife, unfortunately, she suffers. She's got like a chronic pain condition, so we have like a perpetual supply of. Yeah, I mean, look, she manages it. It sucks.
It's all about pain management. Yeah, pain management is a real thing. And it is a real thing, and everybody who has pain, it sucks.
Yeah,
it really sucks.
It's a double whammy because it's like a chronic fatigue and a pain thing as well. So
it sucks. I empathize.
But,
so definitely.
But you know, she's a nurse. She works long shifts and she doesn't let it get in her way too much. So you know, I'm very sort of in awe of her at times because you know I know how I
make her dinner and pamper her.
Oh, I do. I do. You know.
See, like today,
my point is that I don't really ever have to deal with any kind of sort of day-to-day pain because we have a perpetual supply of cocodamol in the cupboards. And if ever,
see, like to me, like when I have a good day like this, when I'm not, people know that I'm not doing great. When I have a good day like this, then I feel like giving back, right? So that's why I went to the store and I got Kano, some stuff and. Like I said, I am sorry, but I'm damn proud of my egg tuna sandwiches. Motherfuckers were good, man. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, this
good. They were good.
Before I came into this chat, Steve.
Hang on. What was that? There was tuna. There was egg. There was carrot. There was mayonnaise, a good mayonnaise. I put celery salt in mine. And then what else I put in there? Pepper, sweet relish. Oh, I got the Heinz sweet relish. Yeah.
So before I came into this chat, Steve, you were talking about your tuna sandwich, but you said repeatedly, you said tuna fish. Why do some people feel the need to add the fish? We don't do it with any other fish. We don't go like codfish, mackerel fish, but tuna fish. People seem to
cultural.
But that's why I just noticed it.
I don't need to say albacore fish because obviously albacore.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do love albacore. Oh my god.
I suppose the exception being like swordfish.
Yeah, it's so funny. The only enjoyment I really get out of life is food anymore. I have put on so much weight. I'm not even joking. My doctor was. I put on 10 pounds since last time my last doctor visit. 10 pounds. My doctor was like, "Holy shit!" Because it's comfort to me because of my. Issues I'm having, it was really odd that eating actually makes me feel better, which is counterintuitive. Well, I don't know why, but until I run out, I have 3 tests this month. I have 3 doctor's appointments this month.
So my mother-in-law, she's a retired GP, well, what we call GP, general practitioners, which I suppose in the States would be considered like a family doctor, just like a general practice doctor who is usually a gateway for referrals to like specialists and consultants, and they deal with like the routine minor stuff in like a doctor's practice. I don't know if it's structured the same in the States. I imagine it's something similar with different terminology. but she's got 30 years of experience. You know, she's our family go-to. Hey, I've got this rash. But my point is that she said something to me a while ago, which I thought it doesn't really jive with the modern attitude of sort of general health. But I really like what she said. And she said, there is no treat worth denying yourself in moderation simply to earn yourself a few extra months in an old people's home.
Dude, I love that advice, because I swear to God, as my witness, man, when I went shopping, not this time, but last time I went shopping, I got tiramisu. I was like, you know what? I don't have diabetes, right? So diabetics is not my issue, right? I'm like, you know what? That's one thing I don't have is sugar problems. My dad was diabetic, but I was like, I am not going to deny myself something. And I was looking at this tiramisu and I said, you know what? I fucking want this. I just want this. And I got it. I got to tell you, it was freaking delicious, man. And so you're right. I mean, what's the point of living your life if you can't at least indulge every so often? I can cut back on my salt, but I mean, that tiramisu.
If somebody said to you, if somebody said to you, hey, look, we figured it out. You can live to be 400 years old if all you ever eat is tofu and boiled water.
I'm not interested.
I'm still going to go for the bacon sandwich. I'll take the good solid 80 years and the fucking bacon sandwich. Thanks very much.
I got to cut back on my cholesterol, but my cholesterol has always been an issue. But then I try to eat like saturated things, like, you know, like olive oil is really good for you. But I've been eating a lot because it's comforting, because it's for some reason it helps relieve the issues that I'm having.
Well, it'll release endorphins as well if you're eating something that you really enjoy and is satisfying. And this, you know, as long as you don't go mad with it and end up with like blood thicker than pancake
Aaron,
batter and an
like
insulin.
You've been on a diet
problem.
lately, though, Aaron. You look like you've been like on a diet.
No, Ozempic. Well, I was on Ozempic, but I'm not on a weight loss dose or whatever. I'm on it for my blood sugar.
Yeah.
But now no pharmacy in the area seems to be able to get it in stock. So
why?
I don't know what I'm going to do now. So
what's Ozempic?
It's
a protein pump inhibitor.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it must be.
By the way, I was on it too from VA, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was originally designed or marketed or whatever to diabetics. It helps you feel full longer. It makes helps you eat less or whatever. And
so specifically type 2 diabetics.
It's a protein
right?
pump
Yeah,
inhibitor,
exactly.
Is,
not
right?
insulin-based diabetics. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then people lost weight on it, and then people without diabetes learned that they too can lose weight on it. But like the weight loss dose is rarely like 0.5 milligram shots once a week. I'm only on 0.25 because, like I said, I'm on it just for blood sugar. I'm not on it for weight loss. But I did lose some weight on it. But now I don't know what I'm going to do, because like the whole country is getting their hands on it, but the people who actually need it for medical reasons, like myself, can't seem to get it now. So
well, this is the inherent nature of the Western sort of people at the moment. There's no if a problem can be solved, if a problem can be. If there's two solutions to the problem, one is make a lifestyle choice, get your ass down the gym, eat less shit, or some pharmaceutical company goes, or you can just take this pill and carry on acting like a hedonite.
Look, I'm not against changing my lifestyle. I mean, again, I can only do so much, but there certain things are just physically. Even if you change your lifestyle, you still need intervention.
Yeah,
I'm not going to name names, but I know a person who had a gastric band, like what used to be called a stomach staple, and they went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, "How are you getting on with it? Because it's where you don't seem to be like losing weight at the rate that we thought you would, just all the usual questions like how's your nausea, etc." And this patient was like really proud, and she's like, "Hey, look, I figured out how I can still carry on eating like Mars bars and Snickers and things." And what this person was doing was getting milk, right, the Mars bars and the Snickers and what have you, putting it in a blender and making a smoothie. So it was passing through. So they went through the entirety of the surgical process, the brutal surgery, and this was pre doing it keyhole, so this was a whopping surgery. This patient went through all of that just to try and figure out a way to get around it at the end.
Right.
Total waste.
Yeah, that's a total waste of surgery because again, eating refined sugar like that, refined sugar is one of the worst things for you. And I try to avoid refined sugar. I really do.
But my point is that you need to be in the mental place where you're prepared to actually help yourself. You can't just.
I agree, but again, there's certain things
what's so
it doesn't
frustrating,
mean you have
though?
to give up everything, right? I mean, at the cost of not enjoying life. I mean, look, I rather die young, at least die early, and not. But without giving up everything that I like to eat, right? I've switched to salads. This month is my big thing for salad and chicken. But every so often, if I want to eat a tiramisu, I'm going to have a goddamn tiramisu, okay?
The key is moderation. I think the problem that you do have, and actually food addiction is probably one of the addictions that I have the most sympathy for. Because if you think about it, if you're addicted to cigarettes, if you're addicted to alcohol.
Yeah, you just quit the cigarettes. You can't quit food. Yeah.
Yeah, I quit smoking, right? I mean, I've been through that.
And you can go to places where you're not avoid places where you're likely to come into contact with it, and you can maximize your chances to avoid it. But you can, like you say, how can you avoid food? What are you supposed to do? Just get an NG tube fitted?
Look, I will never look back and regret quitting smoking. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do to quit anything. I will never start smoking again even though I like, hey, look, I want to enjoy myself. Smoking was enjoyable. I'm not going to front. But I will never want to go back to it. There's just so many. The downsides are way worse than the upsides.
26, 27 when I quit smoking, and I started smoking when I was like 17, 18, something like that. So I had nearly 10 years of smoking about, and I just quit cold turkey.
I had about 25 years smoking.
Yeah, it was back when the UK brought. In fairness, it was actually one of the bits of authoritarian legislation that actually helped me out. They brought in an indoor smoking ban. So when you're like in pubs and clubs, things you weren't allowed to smoke indoors anymore. So
bars here too. They eliminated the smoking, but I don't even go out to bars anymore. Although one of these days I would love to go to New York and hang out at your bar, wherever you're at, Aaron.
Oh, my bar's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would totally.
It's like one of the most popular places in the whole area. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just not a bar person anymore, man. I don't know what it is. I got old. I'm not old. I'm not old.
You're just 2 years older than me.
Well, because you're about years older than me, aren't you, Steve? Without wanting to out your age.
Was that?
You're not old because I'm going to be your age soon, so you can't be old.
You got a ways to go.
40 this year.
My next birthday, I'm going to be 50.
Oh my God, I'm way past you. Shut up.
Crazy.
Oh, by the way, yeah, you were talking about Ozempic. I was talking about something else. But the protein pump inhibitor or something. I got my medication confused. I know what you're talking about. My dad was on what you were talking about. He had type 1 diabetes, and I think he was on what you were talking about. I was on something else, which is a protein pump inhibitor. That's similar name, just for to correct record. But.
All right. I'm going to jump off. Guys, because it's 1 a.m. here.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to hop off and get some sleep. Tomorrow's my last day off.
We didn't get to the P. Diddy stuff, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Let me quick thing. Do you think P. Diddy's going to be arrested?
Eventually, yeah, I do.
I agree. The feds are not making this kind of case if they.
There's way too much effort being put into this for nothing. So yeah.
Let me go on record. P. Diddy, I think he did some shady shit. I think that everything that he has done, probably is going to bite him in the ass. I think that there's smoke, there's fire there. And I hate to say it, but he thought he could get away with a lot of stuff, and I think that Usher and other people, Justin Bieber, were victims of him. So that's my.
All right. Good night, guys. Good night, John.
Good night, Aaron.
Seeing you. Bye.
So I guess John and I are going to hang out, have a drink, kind of like sitting at the bar with the two guys, one from America, one from the UK, talking about shit that we have no ideas what the hell we're talking about.
Oh, you needed a cigar.
we need a what? A cigar. I remember I was in where was I at? I think I was in Vegas, and I was with a coworker. I don't know what the hell we were doing in Vegas with my coworker. I don't even remember why I wasn't. But we were in Vegas, and I remember we were sipping single malt scotch, having cigars, and I was thinking to myself, "This is the life."
The thing is, though, Steve, if we were going to set up a joke for us, it wouldn't be like an American and an Englishman walk into a bar. It would be like a substance dualist and a physical reductionist walk into a bar or something. You know?
But wait, I'm a physical non-reductivist.
Well, yeah, I was just picking two at random, not necessarily. I'm not a physical.
I'm not that buzzed yet. I remember what I am.
But the P Diddy thing.
I rarely care. When I rarely care is going to sleep. Yeah, we're just chilling at this point. Because like I've had a White Claw and 2 drinks. This is actually really relaxing for me. I haven't drank in like months. Well,
It's
been no. Actually, I don't have. I don't think I had a drink this year. What I've had? What I drink this year?
That white Russian shit.
The what?
At the beginning of the year.
What I have at the beginning of the year?
The white Russians that you had made.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Back in January, I made some White Russians. That's true.
So as much as you've not
what?
As much as you've not had much to drink this year, when you did drink, you drank. So.
No, not really. I mean, it was. I remember what she's talking about. It was January, and I bought her some Grey Goose, and I had bought some milk and some Kahlua stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna mix the milk with the vodka and add some Kahlua stuff, and it was delicious actually.
Yeah, I'm quite conservative with my drinks.
Yeah.
I tend.
They haven't locked up Diddy yet. But I got to tell you, with the federal investigation, when they went to investigate his house, yeah, they're looking to indict. They're looking to indict P. Diddy, and I think he was probably the hip hop version of Epstein. There's no doubt in my mind that he had underage people at his parties. There's no doubt in my mind that he was grooming people.
We shouldn't be under the misapprehension that this is sort of just like the 80s and the 90s and current day culture where people think this is acceptable. I mean,
they did back then. I guarantee it. That's what the mindset was. The mindset back then was they can get away with everything they wanted.
What I mean is this kind of behavior for those who are either famous or have any kind of degree of power is commonplace throughout history. I mean, even
100%.
Like,
no, I agree. But here's the thing, though. When does society say enough's enough and we have to like hold these people accountable?
I don't think we ever will. I think society will try and hold these people accountable, and they'll just come up with different ways of hiding it. Like, I mean, Weinstein,
or like Epstein, like committing suicide.
Yeah, but what I mean is like Epstein. I mean, I would probably set aside Epstein as sort of like he was doing what he was doing on purpose in order to try and leverage people, and it just happened to coincide with a kink or a perversion that he had. But I think the likes of like Weinstein and P. Diddy, and I put them.
Weinstein went to jail. He finally it caught up to him. Bill
Yeah,
Cosby,
he did.
It got up to him.
Weinstein's a bit of an odd one because he tried to contractualize it. But
still, I mean, of course it was contractual, but that's how it was for any producer back in Hollywood back in the day.
But I think that's
not justification. That is a condemnation, not a justification. I want them to be caught up. I want them to be held accountable for that shit.
But I think that's part of the attitude. It's like when you sort of when you essentially have actors, actresses, pop stars, and even sort of like porn stars now are becoming sort of part of the cultural mainstream. They're doing like podcasts and interviews,
which I think is great, by the way. I think it's wonderful that porn stars are actually doing podcasting.
I mean, I have mixed feelings about it.
Why?
Would I want my daughter? Don't get me wrong. I would never, because of my stance on free speech. I would never ban, block, as long as they have the appropriate sort of advisories and warnings, and and then there's obviously the parental due diligence that I need to make sure my kids aren't watching shit that they shouldn't be. But would I want my daughter to idolize and take advice from a porn star?
Well, I don't think podcasters are idolized. Okay, I did podcasting for years, for like a year and a half. I wasn't idolized. I don't want anybody to idolize me, but I don't think it's idolization. I think it's this: if they have good content and they were able to explain the things that they have went through and the downfalls of what they have been through.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. That I like. It's like who's this? Oh fuck, what's the name? Riley.
Riley Gaines. Riley.
No, no, the porn star.
Oh,
Riley.
Riley. Oh shit, what is her name?
Riley Reid. That's it.
Riley Reid. Yeah.
I was thinking Tara Reid, but it's Riley
She's
Reid.
out. She's out of the business now, though, isn't she?
But she's come out of the business. But part of what she said is because it was interfering with relationships. And there was something that she said in one of her interviews where she said, "Oh, I'd come home from work, brackets around the work, and I'd go to kiss my boyfriend and he wouldn't want to kiss me." I'm like, well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, isn't that kind of understandable? Most guys are not going to want their girlfriend to be in that industry.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I don't think we needed Riley Reid to be run through quite so comprehensively for then to have her realization, for her to go on a podcast.
But she did realize it, and she made a podcast. And there's another one. I can't remember her name, but she made a podcast out of it, similar things. Anyways, Josh, real quick, Josh, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Buddy, what's up, man?
Do you hear me?
Yes!
No, it took me so long.
You fix your shit.
I had to download shit. I had
to download shit.
Yeah, no, it
what
took forever.
You have to
I'm
download?
Sorry. No, it wouldn't let me. So I've already downloaded Chrome, and it was like download Chrome again.
I had to download shit.
Totally happened. No, I was out with some friends tonight. We're having a good time, dude. I got a big promotion.
Oh, congrats!
Yeah.
Well,
so,
dude, of all people, you deserve it. If people don't remember Josh, Josh is one of. Look, I adore Josh. I really do. This guy, as somebody who I consider a real friend, who has been very, very helpful to me, in more ways than one. But this dude is legit, man. And I'm so happy that you have gotten everything you've deserved. Because I told you way back when, they're fucking with you. Don't let people bullshit you. And
so Steve, you don't know this, but tomorrow I have to actually drive into work because I work from home now. But I have to drive into work tomorrow because they're having a pizza party.
That's awesome.
In my honor. My honor.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
dude.
So I'm doing that.
I am so thrilled for you, man. Seriously, I love hearing stories like that because there are certain people that I'm like behind the scenes that deserve the best, and you have always been one of those people. So, and people don't know who the fuck you are, by the way, but they don't need to know.
That's fine, but Steve, dude, you're one of them too. Man, I love Steve. Come on, we've been good friends for
quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you, Steve.
Thank you,
You're
Rob.
great.
And it's so funny because people don't really realize that, like on YouTube, people have real friendships. Like John's a friend of mine. Yeah. We don't like hang out or shit like that. But I mean, John knows that when push comes to shove, I'm going to have his back. And that we ever want to hang out at a pub together. Oh my God. That would be the greatest, man. I want John to introduce me to like real British food, Hey Steve, let's go hang out and have some like Scotch eggs and some like, whatever.
Oh, is John, do you live in England, John?
Oh, you certainly do, yeah.
Yeah, which part?
Right in the middle. So I live in a county called
Doxing. Oh wait.
Oh no, you don't have to dox. I've spent a lot of time in England. So my ex-girlfriend lives in London.
I know.
I will tell you the street she lives on if you want. Like, I don't care.
That's unnecessarily specific, but London's a hellhole that I try to go to as little as humanly possible. To be honest, it's
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, same thing. Look, I'm from Los Angeles, John, and I don't know if you know anything about LA, but I was born in literally West LA. I mean, in like Cedars-Sinai Hospital is where I was born. And you go south of that, and it is a shithole, straight up shithole.
Yeah.
I know. Nobody wants to go there.
Like the historical landmarks and stuff, the touristy bits are all still fine, but just and it's mostly down to the mayor and his policing policies.
Well, same thing in California. The government sucks. The mayor suck. Everything sucks in California. I would move from California if I could. If I could take Kano and say, Kano, let's move to like Mississippi or Alabama. Her family's like back. You can't. Well, you don't want to move to Mississippi, but how about Georgia?
Nope.
Where would you want to live if you could?
Italy.
Italy. You don't speak.
Yep.
You don't even speak Italian.
I don't care.
Why would you want to move to Italy?
I will learn.
If you okay.
Steve,
Wait,
this is hilarious.
Wait.
No, I have to.
How about you, United States? If you
Welcome to
could
the
pick one
Non-Sequitur
place to
Show.
live in the United States, where would we go?
Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming
Wait, I
and a
got-
complete loss of
What I
wokeness.
gotta-
What,
You have
state?
been warned.
Ask your state or
State. Yeah,
Or
what
not.
state would you want?
Alrighty there, a little brief
Washington is good.
introduction there.
Washington's
Not gonna do a
good.
Full episode. This
I
was
would
a-
move to Washington
I
right
just wanted
now.
to use
I got a different
You know-
layout, even though we're not actually.
Do you know
doing
what
a
state I
Non-Sequitur
live
Show,
in,
it's not on the
Steve?
Non-Sequitur Show channel.
Vaguely.
But I thought I'd do an
kinda
open
remember.
hangout tonight because I was heavily caffeinated today, and I
Yeah,
got some
no, I'm in
fun stuff
Pennsylvania.
to
Pennsylvania.
listen to.
It's
So I'm
not
actually,
it's not great. In
I'm
the
actually doing
worst
okay.
part of
It's actually been a
Pennsylvania.
good day.
Well, in answer to your question, it's Josh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, in answer to your question, Josh, I live in a county called Warwickshire, and we are about an hour's drive north of London.
No, wait, no, I've been to Worcester.
Is that when they made
Where about-
Worcestershire? Is that when they made Worcestershire sauce?
No,
No, that's Worcestershire.
yeah, Worcester sauce.
Anchovy sauce.
So where did you go in Warwick or Warwickshire?
Oh no, I don't even remember the name of the pub. I went there to meet my girlfriend at the time. Her cousins were visiting, and we went to a small pub somewhere there. I took a train that was a long train, I will say that. to visit them in just a random pub. And I think we got a pizza and a burger and a beer.
Are you drinking tonight, Josh?
I am.
Awesome. Yes, very good. But I will be right back because I've been drinking, and it's hard for me to sit, so I got to stand for a second. So I'll be right back. Josh,
Yeah.
talk.
Okay,
Yeah, no, worries.
absolutely.
Warwickshire's a great little county. It's obviously people hear Warwickshire, especially people from the States, and they instantly think Hobbit. So
Oh, that's fair. I honestly, and before I started dating the girl, that I'm talking about, I was really into British culture and stuff. I've known a lot of people from there. And actually, my really good friend here that I was just with tonight is from Wales. Actually, most of my friends are from England somewhere.
well, I mean, the thing about the British, we're incredibly friendly and welcoming, and sort of tend to be a high trust society. There's we don't act in sort of there's a lot of sort of gentleman agreements rather than a lot of legalese. It's a difficult place to sort of quantify because stuff is the culture is ancient, but it doesn't look like it's our culture because we exported it around the world. So it's so similar to so many other cultures, especially within the Commonwealth, in its core principles, that it doesn't. People have the impression that Brits don't really have a culture.
Well, I don't think that at all. I mean, I think British has a very strong culture.
Oh
Well,
yeah, I
would
was
agree.
gonna say that too. And Steve came back in here like Optimus Prime declaring he wasn't dead yet.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, Josh. A lot of people wish I was. The fact that I haven't died yet, I think, has pissed off a lot of people. No, I have one agenda. I swear to God, I'm not even bullshit. I have one agenda. My agenda is right now, literally, just to outlive certain people. That's it. After they die, I don't give a flying fuck. That's it. I don't give a flying. I'm not even bullshitting. I am at the point now where certain people, if they kick the bucket, after that, my life is complete. That's my whole
No,
intent.
you're
is
gonna
to
do it.
survive.
You're totally gonna.
You just want to live.
I've earned that fucking right of the bullshit that I've gone through. And so yeah, my whole fucking life premise is basically outlive somebody else, and that's why I've gone to the doctor to fix my shit. Because I really don't feel like dying. It's not much of my choice, but I mean,
No, that's fair. That's fair. Dude,
it's
don't
fair,
die.
right? I think it's fucking fair as shit. Look, I
I
got
did.
I don't
I have
even know.
3 medical appointments this month. What else can I fucking do, man? I mean, I'm doing everything I can to fix my shit, and it sucks.
I just want to analyze that statement. I don't really feel like dying, so I went to see the doctor. Checks out.
Well,
Right,
yeah, but
right.
you don't know America,
Right?
Like,
I mean, that's what I mean.
going to
Yeah,
see
you
the
don't-
doctor
yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
mean
You don't
going
get
to the doctor
America's
might mean
medicine.
you owe a bunch of money. Like,
Well, do you know what? Like, I mean, healthcare in the UK has got to such a horrendous state that for the first time in my life, I took out private health insurance for me and the family.
I don't blame you. Look, look, I'll
well,
tell you one
no,
thing.
and
Invest
you
in
should
insurance.
there.
Absolutely. Medical insurance, the best thing you can invest in. Luckily, I'm fortunate because I'm a VA and I also have secondary insurance, and everything I have, I've earned. And so I am grateful for the amount of coverage I have. If I didn't have the coverage I have, I probably would be dead by now.
I was actually surprised because I have some significant issues with the NHS, the National Health Service. Not in principle. In principle, I really like the NHS. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't lionize it and worship it. It's almost like the NHS.
There's no perfect system. I mean, but seriously, I know how much people can pay out of pocket for insurance and deductibles and things of that nature. And so I'm very lucky to have the insurance that I do.
With the exception of 1 or 2 pre-existing chronic conditions that exist within my family, I'm paying £114 a month for family coverage with 0 excess.
That's cheap.
Yeah, we're
That's
not
cheap.
paying that.
I'm not paying that either. No, I pay nothing. But I've earned that fucking coverage,
I know what you're doing, Steve.
Yeah, but see, the downside is though, like for example, I can't get like certain medications unless they're approved through the in-network system, right?
So I've been doing the same thing, and so my one medication I have to get, and it costs me, if I had to pay it out of pocket, it's around $20,000 a year.
Jesus.
That's insanity. That's insanity.
Yeah, so when I was dating my girlfriend in the UK, who was still in the UK, she ran it through all of her shit, and it was I've been paying $8 for the same medication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The medication I go through the VA for a reason, right? Because the medication, perfect. And I just go through the VA. But
good friend of mine's there too.
Yeah.
And he's
VA,
fighting for some, getting some reductions and stuff, but
the VA,
they're generally good.
But here's the thing: I'm a new patient in the VA because I hadn't gone in 2 years, so I got a story again where I got to like go back in April, even though I have like secondary medical. So I have I have multiple medical things, but I rather go through the VA because I love the way they do their medication system. It is so flawless, but unfortunately, it takes time. It takes time. Everything's time consuming.
The reason why your prescription would have cost £8 in the UK, is that what you said? It would have cost £8 in the UK.
As opposed to 20,000.
£8.
The reason for that is so our medical system in terms of prescription drugs is means tested. So because my wife and I earn above a certain amount a year, we have to pay for our medical prescriptions. But the medical prescription is the same no matter what the drug is. So if I went in and I needed an antihistamine,
how is that possible?
No, and I know this. John, can I ask us a question? So what my girlfriend at the time told me is that's the maximum.
Yeah. So basically, what happens
you
is
won't pay more than £8.
Yeah. So let's say for argument's sake, I'm financially stable and I go to my doctor. I suffer with really, really bad hay fever. So I get prescription antihistamines, fexofenadine and stuff like that, which you have to get on prescription here.
Dude, fexofenadine is a godsend.
Oh, amen.
Fexofenadine, you see, we don't know what the hard time we're talking about. Fexofenadine, thank you, Jesus, for that, because I got to tell you, that's one fucking drug that actually works, that I can take and go, holy shit, this prevents my fucking allergies.
It works fine for me with the exception of peak hay fever season. I was taking 360 milligrams a day, which is a whopping dose. It's 3 times the recommended dose, but the immunotherapy...
You shouldn't. When you sleep, do you sleep all the time?
No, but No, fexofenadine doesn't wipe me out at all. Unlike
Oh, really?
Benadryl. No, fexofenadine. I have no ill. Oh no, I love fexofenadine. I'm
Okay.
sorry, but
Well, I mean, that was my question
no,
because that
Benadryl
would.
wipes me out. Benadryl fucking kicks my ass.
Oh, yeah, Benadryl. I'm the same, Steve.
Yeah, I still.
Benadryl.
I
I'm done.
I took
I'm
a
done.
look, Josh. I took a melatonin the other night, 3 milligrams melatonin, right? And this is the first case that I've had in years where I got into sleep paralysis for like 2 minutes. I couldn't get out of it. I was screaming for Kano. I was like, "Wake me, help me!" She's like, "What the hell's going on?" Because she didn't really understand that I was in that state where I couldn't get out of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's a real thing. That
Oh,
does happen.
Oh, yeah. She finally is like, she's like,
sorry, John.
kick-
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. So just quickly, Josh. So that, and Steve as well, since you asked the question. So obviously, the NHS is a massive, massive market when it comes to pharmaceutical companies, and it's essentially a monopoly. So they have a huge amount of leverage and sort of negotiating power when they're sat at the negotiating table buying drugs. I don't think they use it as much as they should, because they absolutely should. So basically, I mean, if you something like fexofenadine is a relatively cheap drug. The NHS
exactly, very cheap. Yeah,
they will buy it for pennies on the pound because they're such a massive market. But that fexofenadine on prescription, it's still the prescriptions have actually gone up now. They're like £9.50 or something.
What?
So that
fexofenadine, that shit. I get like $1. I get like 25 for like $1 or some shit like that.
So what I do is I don't through my GP anymore. I go through a private pharmacy. They provide me with the prescription and I get it for like half the price. But my point is that the when you go in and I pay for my prescription for the fexofenadine, the NHS essentially makes money on that one. But let's say, for argument's sake, that the drug cost a different drug for a different patient costs £40 a month. The prescription would still cost £9.50. So they offset the expensive drugs against the cheaper drugs because this prescription is a flat price.
Yeah, but I mean, they offset that with what they pay. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like the United States could do that.
Cost. Yeah.
Yeah, they could do that here. They just don't.
Yeah, but what I mean is there's a combination of the factors at play. The NHS negotiates for better prices on the wholesale cost of the drugs, as do the pharmaceutical the pharmacies, the dispensaries that dispense them.
No,
So
you're absolutely right. I know this.
They even out the peaks and the troughs. And when it comes to things like the cutting edge treatments, like the monoclonal antibodies and the things like that, if you're being treated, so that's the GP end. That's the CC. What are the CCs?
Can I say something quick, John? I think what you're seeing is what you're saying is like the peaks and the troughs that even out on your end. Yes, that works out on your end, but that's not the end all. So the United States doesn't negotiate drugs on that way at all. We just pay more. Yeah. And we just make everybody pay more.
Right, exactly. Everybody has to pay more for the drugs.
Yes, you guys, the level out for what you guys see is great, but we're just getting raped up the asshole.
Oh, huge. And John, back in the 90s, like the VA, they'd give you anything you wanted. You walk in and say, hey, the opium crisis was a huge thing. I got hydrocodone like it was nothing. Luckily, though, I was smart, and I only took like one pill like every 3-4 weeks, like a month. I did not.
When you needed to.
Right. Because, I mean, I wasn't even going to take it as recommended. It was just as needed, right? So you didn't have to take hydrocodone 2 or 3 times a day where you got addicted to the opium. But, yeah, I got prescribed hydrocodone, 5 milligrams hydrocodone with 500 milligrams of acetaminophen. But I took it only when needed, like extremely rarely. So I never had a problem. Now you can't get that shit if your life depended on it when I actually do need it.
Yeah.
Even though I never abused it, even though I was very sparingly, it takes an act of fucking God now to get fucking pain medication. Even though I'm in a situation where I need pain medication.
Dude, as soon as you go in and say, hey, my back hurts, you're getting side eye.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. But But see, I'm lucky. I have tests, right, with the X-rays and CAT scan. They show, oh shit, yeah, something's wrong with you. No shit. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Now determine exactly what's wrong and give you some pain medication to make you feel better. Today I took pain medication, and I got to tell you though, 30 minutes after I took some pain medication, I felt better.
And I will tell you this, and Steve, you don't know this. about me. My sister was in the Army National Guard. Her husband was in the Marines, and one of my best friends was in the just regular Army. They're all dealing with this shit. Like they're going to the VA, and the VA is like at least in Pennsylvania, are like, well, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that, and
I think the problem with the pain medication, how it's being distributed. This is I don't think it's a case that there's a shortage of the actual medication. I think it's
no,
no, it's not.
No, it's
No.
regulated. It's not shortage. It's
And
the fact that people are getting hooked on the.
Yeah,
they're
and-
overprescribing it.
Hey, sorry, John. I don't know you until tonight, but I don't want to cut you off. But I do want to tell you this: you need to know one of these things is, one of my ex-partners died from overdosing because of a hospital giving her medication.
that doesn't surprise me in the
No,
slightest.
it's sad to hear, and my heart goes out to you. But
Yeah,
yeah, they do that.
Actually,
Absolutely, they do
Steve,
that. Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that, Steve.
No, I didn't.
I don't know.
I've never heard of that. And my heart goes out to you. And I absolutely believe that happened because I tell you right now, at one time, especially in the 80s and 90s, they were prescribing the shit like water.
They just
you got a
sent
headache?
it out. He
Here's
sent it
opium.
out.
So
And-
we have an issue with drug prescription, like a lot of unnecessary drug prescription in the UK, not necessarily around pain medication, because the pain medication, it is overprescribed, but it is heavily regulated.
Yeah, but here's the problem.
No,
Now when I'm
and-
older and I need it, I have a hard. I can't get it, even though I didn't abuse
No,
it
but
before.
I-
Even though I was prescribed to it in 2009, hydrocodone.
This
I
is
get
the
as much
over.
as I want, but now I have to like start over again. I have to go through this rigmarole to get fucking decent pain medication, even though I need it. How does it make sense, John?
This is the overreaction to the overprescribing that happened before. So overprescribed at the kazoo generate an opioid addiction crisis within the United States.
Exactly.
To do something about this problem, and now the overreaction catches people like you who
Yes.
legitimately need the medication on
Yep.
on the upside. So it's going up and down and up and down, rather than just.
I almost can't function without some kind of pain medication. I have 325 milligram aspirin, and I was on ibuprofen, 800 milligram, which is generically over counter kind of stuff. It's not like the high end stuff. But I got to tell you, pain management when you're in certain situations, sometimes you need the good stuff. The pain, the discomfort. It's not even a matter of like excruciating pain. It's a matter of discomfort. Like Kano had a massive headache tonight, and I got to tell you, her just taking aspirin is not going to solve that problem. She has this morning. She's on. Can I say your pain medications?
Yes.
She's on Lyrica and Celebrex. And Excedrin.
Celebrex doesn't do shit. I'll tell
yeah.
you that right now.
I've never been on Celebrex or Lyrica.
Throw that in trash.
But I mean, I got to tell you, when I know she's hurting. She doesn't really bitch about that kind of stuff a lot. When I know she has a legit headache, I know it's legit, right? Because she's not one of those people that go, oh my god, I got a headache. When she has a legit headache, it's migraine. It's serious, right? But unfortunately, it's so hard to get the prescription you need for those kind of pain medications because they're so you have such trepidation for the people that abuse the system. Neither one of us has ever done.
They've done it. Yeah. It was because they did it before we actually needed, like the people that need them.
Yeah, they overprescribed it, and that became a problem because people abused it.
The problem in the States seems to have been driven by the drug reps and the drug.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
100%.
John, you're going to be behind on this because it was totally in the States.
Yes.
This did not happen in the UK.
No, this was totally America. It was, you have a problem. Here's the drug that you prescribe to that.
Yes, but what I mean is OxyContin originally was designed as a pain relief
Yes.
for terminal cancer patients. Like the people.
OxyContin actually, like
It still is.
It's still
But you
narcotic.
metabolized it into heroin. Like,
But what I mean is,
Norco,
but what I mean,
OxyContin.
those pain.
I was on OxyContin, and yet I never abused it. Again, I only took it when when I had the most amount of pain. I cannot fucking continue.
But what I mean is,
Steve,
drug companies
what I'm saying is, like,
meaning
when you take it orally, your body essentially metabolizes that into if you took
Opium.
heroin.
Yeah, it's an opium. Of
That-
course, I know that.
And
Those
Well, and
painkillers.
that's
Which is
Right.
diacetylmorphine, which is a
and-
derivative of morphine. I
It's-
totally
yes.
get it. Trust me.
it's diacetylmorphine,
Yes.
correct? Is heroin.
Mhm.
I knew you knew that, Steve. But no, and like you got it, you knew what it was, but like there were a lot of people that didn't know.
Right, but that's because I wasn't gonna. I didn't want to abuse it, because the people that go in for drug addicts, people that want to abuse it, they're the ones that are, they'll do what's called doctor shopping. Shopping around, and they want to
Oh yeah, hey,
yeah.
they do it here.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know how close I am to Philadelphia?
Yeah, exactly. But what about the legit people that have actual issues? Like my record goes back to, like I said, 2009 with the VA. I mean, I have a
Oh,
long.
I know you do.
And so when I talk about pain management, there's a legit need for that. Although I don't like having to take that shit to relieve. I was self-diagnosing self-medicating for a long while off caffeine. To me, my drug was Monsters and rock stars. Caffeine alleviated a lot of the problems, but then it got to the point where even that wasn't helping. I couldn't function throughout the day because even though caffeine is a stimulant, it doesn't get through the full day when you're feeling like, holy shit, I have somebody stabbing me in the gut with a fucking ice pick. It sucks.
I'm just interested to see if I've got the perception of the problem right. So if I just lay it out,
I'd like to hear from John for a minute.
the way I perceive it is essentially drugs were developed, opiate-based drugs were developed, and they had a legitimate use in terms of like how they were originally stated. You've got essentially terminal cancer patients or someone close to it. They're in chronic, excruciating pain. We need to get this a good pain delivery system, a good pain medication into them to at least give them some degree of quality of what is left of their life. And then the drugs started being opened up for use for things like musculoskeletal pain and stuff like that, in conjunction with the drug reps and the drug companies making the insane lie that they were not fucking addictive. Now, the perception of a drug addict, or the usual perception of a drug addict, is somebody lying in the gutter with a needle in their arm like Edgar Allan Poe. And that's sort of like a stereotype of a drug addict, when actually the drug addicts that you have are a 62-year-old grandmother called Pat who's on opioids from her post-hip replacement.
Well, same with the VA. The VA overprescribed opiates, and that made people drug addicts. Straight up.
They all did.
Yeah.
They're all Pats. They're all Pats.
But what I mean is this drug addiction.
I could have been John. I could have been one of those drug addicts. Had I taken it as prescribed or more, I would have been a prescription drug addict. But I didn't, because I knew it was. I knew how dangerous it was, and I took it only when it absolutely fucking needed.
But in terms of social awareness, that is a more invisible problem than having a drug addict rolling around the floor in the street. So it gets worked, which means it doesn't get dealt with, which means by the time you actually acknowledge the problem culturally, socially, and medically, it is now a giant beast that is almost impossible to tame.
Same thing with alcoholism.
No,
right? Hey, one quick. This is the first drink I've had since like January, right? I'm the antithesis of an alcoholic. I barely could. My stomach can't handle alcohol. People know I can't drink that much. I'm a lightweight, right? And people even criticize me for that. But shut up. See, I get see. She laughs at me because I'm a lightweight. I really am. But I gotta tell you, I mean, I understand how people can very easily get addicted to alcohol and become alcoholics.
And by virtue of the fact that I'm British, I'd probably be considered an alcoholic by American standards anyway.
Really? You think so?
No. I've been to England.
I don't think so.
I mean, I drink every day. Most people, there is a huge number of people that classify.
I don't think that. Yeah. See, I don't think that's the proper standard for an alcoholic, that you drink every day. I know people that can drink every day and that I wouldn't consider alcoholics. I know people that are straight up alcoholics that if they stopped drinking, they were going to seizures. They were going to detox.
No, and I'm with Steve on this, because I probably drink every day. And Steve, would you think I'm an alcoholic?
No,
I don't think I am.
Fuck no.
I mean, I've taken months off, like whatever. I
think you're someone who drinks to de-stress.
I enjoy drinking.
That is not alcoholism.
When I can.
No, alcoholism.
And I don't think that's alcoholism.
Thing. I know people that are alcoholics.
Yes.
And they
and I do too.
Completely different.
I've detoxed people on my fucking living room floor.
Yeah.
Which is different. That's different. I know
a guy that had to go to the hospital because he didn't drink for 3 days.
Yeah. No. So when the pandemic happened, they shut down the only place you could get alcohol in Pennsylvania.
That's the worst thing you could do. That's what people need
No,
alcohol.
and they all started dying, and
Yeah.
within a week and a half, they were like, "Oh shit, we got."
But but don't you think it's funny that I get mocked for being such a lightweight? A Navy guy, right? Navy guys are supposed to be able to hold alcohol, and I get mocked because I can't because I'm very lightweight because I don't drink that much. My own roommate does it to me.
No, the other thing is too, like, Navy guys always get shit.
We do
out of the service, but most of my relatives were in the Navy, so that might be another reason why I like to see.
I could drink in the Navy though. I gotta admit, I could back in the Navy.
Fortunately, I've been with a tolerance for alcohol that's usually only reserved for Irish.
No,
well, you're British, and that's genetics.
But just quickly going back to the drug prescription problem, the UK actually has, or certainly historically had, a slightly different drug prescribing problem, and it wasn't actually anything to do with the opiates, because they're much more stringently regulated. We have something called NICE guidelines, which doctors aren't really allowed, or they're supposed to have a good justification for deviating from. But anyway, the prescription problem we had was a massive overprescription of antibiotics. Somebody's got a sniffle.
That's dangerous too.
Well, the problem,
you're gonna get staph infections and all that shit.
Yeah, MRSA.
Well,
yeah, MRSA.
The problem that we had was that there was a study that came out. It was nearly a decade ago now, and they said that the prescribing practices in the United Kingdom are absolutely making drug-resistant strains much.
Well, yeah, whatever you don't kill off, those ones you don't kill off reproduce, and they make a very virulent strain.
Oh, let's make superbugs,
right?
Yeah, we generated the medical.
I don't even like taking antibiotics. I really don't. I don't like taking antivirals, antibiotics.
The big problem.
I don't, and
because the doctor of the problem.
Well, I really need to, right? I mean, I have ampicillin, not now, but I have been prescribed ampicillin. But I don't like taking antibiotics. I don't.
Problem was were coming into GP surgeries, and the GPs weren't exercising a backbone, because they were saying to the patients, "It's just a cold; it'll go away." And they were going, "Well, you have to give me something because I need yada yada yada." So they just give them antibiotics because they can't be asked to have the argument with the patient, and the patient's getting irate. It's the same with unnecessary scans. Like we get, when I worked for a private medical company called Alliance Medical, they were a diagnostic imaging company. The number of times,
which company you say, Lions?
Alliance Medical.
Yes. Okay.
Huge company. I was an operations contract manager for them for 6 years.
Okay.
But
no, I just know the company. I was asking.
With referrals coming through, where it would be like an MRI of the knee or the ankle or the whatever, and then you'd look through the clinical indications, and it'd say that the patient's symptoms are like numbness in the foot drop, balance issues, and you're like, why the fuck are we scanning the knee? This is a lower back problem. This is a nerve impingement. Lower back. This is a sciatic nerve issue. And then you phone the consulting doctor and go, why are we scanning the knee? And the consulting doctor goes, the patient wouldn't have their lower back scanned. They're insisting that the pain is in the knee, so they need the knee scan.
I don't want to do an MRI. MRI scare me. I got a CAT scan coming up. Contrast with that contrast. I've done one before. Yeah, but MRI scare. I mean that. Oh my god, that scares the shit out of me.
Well, no, and I will say this to John's point with when you're talking about that. So what you're talking about when they're scheduling these people for these diagnoses, I'll tell you, like the reality in the States, what happens is there's people that really think they have a problem in their knee or their back or somewhere, and it's a nerve or a muscle issue, so you're not going to get that unless you do an MRI.
50%.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. But see, like in my case,
they make them go get.
I know there's a problem, right? There's not a matter of thing. I know that there's a knowledge claim. I know there's something wrong with me, and I don't want to do an MRI. It just that machine scares the shit out of me, man. It really does. CAT scan, I've got CAT scan once. No, twice. I'm sorry, twice.
Why does the radiation scare you less than the magnetic field?
These magnetic fields. I mean, these are magnetic fields, man. I don't know. It's something about a magnetic field. The amount of tests that's in one of those MRIs, how dangerous it really fucking is. If anything magnetic is near it, scares the shit out of me, man.
I mean, is in MEVs, for fuck's sake. They're powerful machines.
Yes, but a CAT scan is so what? Tomography. It's like electron resonance. It's a big deal. You're talking about a magnetic field where it has such magnetic test like its field strength that anything magnetic is going to like hit that machine. Yeah, I don't trust people being around it without magnetic ferrite, non-ferrous material.
So yeah, this is the thing. Like so the protocol. So most of the mobile scanners run at 1.5 Teslas,
That's a lot. That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, dude, that's high.
That's a high amount. The biggest artificial magnet right now is like 45 Tesla. 1.5 Tesla is still a lot of magnetic field, man. I'm going back to nuke school here. It's a long time, but I know that's a lot of magnetic field.
No.
What I mean is that 1.5 Tesla is the routine MRI scanner.
That's
the high resolution.
A lot of Tesla. That's a lot of magnetic field, man.
I know the 3T high resolution ones are the ones that they use for looking things like microtumors and stuff like that. And I think currently for medical research, the highest Tesla MRI scanner that's currently being used in the UK is at Oxford University, and it's a 7 Tesla scanner. But the boron.
But do you know how much, dude? That's a lot of fucking magnetic energy, man.
I need to ask, John.
Wait, quick. 7 Tesla is such that when you shut that motherfucker down, how much heat do you think is generated that it has to dissipate afterwards?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's hot.
It's
it's called quenching. And they
quenching, magnetic quenching, exactly what it is. Yes.
It will potentially damage the scanner. Like the 7 Tesla, they quench it. I think
that's what scares me. A CAT scan, I ain't got. There's nothing like that.
But the thing is, as long as you've not got any metal,
and I had X-rays the other day. I know how much Rington, and I have an understanding of how much energy is joules is positive from an X-ray, right? But it's so quick and it's so minimal as opposed to what it used to be that I didn't even give it. I had no concern. I have been exposed to a lot of millirankin or a lot of milliram being a nuclear operator, but I don't care about an X-ray. X-ray is nothing compared to how it used to be.
No, an X-ray is minimal. Like obviously the older X-rays used to be quite damaging.
Right, but now the film's so sensitive, and the amount of milliram that you're exposed to is very minimal.
Obviously, a CT, a computed axial tomography and spiral CT is different because you're under
that's not ionizing radiation.
Well,
what's the harm of what's the harm of CT?
Well, it is like all radiation is like.
But
alpha beta.
It's not ionizing. What it does, it excites the electrons. When electrons drop down.
No, it's not.
That's what it produces.
What was the rank? What you said? Rankings, right? You were doing it in rankings.
Rankings, yeah.
How far? Like what?
Well, milliram. I mean, I'm used to milliram. In my day,
less 5.
Well, yeah. I mean, my day was milliram and milliram and millirankin, but. Nowadays they have sieverts, and grays, which is Becquerel's amount of the Becquerel is a measurement of decay versus time or disintegrations versus time. Sievert is amount of energy per disintegration.
Oh, sieverts! I knew those sieverts.
Yeah, and RAM is the amount of Rankine equivalent man of how much energy Rankine is equivalent to your biological damage, right? And I'm going back 30 years here. Don't quote me. Plus, I've been drinking. So
well, I've gotten excited about like conversions of units. So I don't know. You might not know this.
Sieverts is very easy to equivalate.
No, they are. But so my original degree, Steve, was in civil engineering. So I used to I had to do surveying with property deeds crazy units.
Josh, it's funny you mentioned that because when I got out of the nuclear field in 93 or 94, my dad and I drove to a testing site for a civil engineering exam for a job that I applied to. And I swear to God,
really?
Yeah, and I swear to God, I got like 98th percentile. I was in the top, but there was like
I don't doubt that.
There's 2 or 3 people higher than me and they got the job. But I swear to God, I couldn't do that fucking test my life depended on it now. I couldn't. No, I remember the questions. The questions. I remember the civil engineering questions. They had to do with bus transportation. How much if you're digging of dirt, and all this was related to mathematics, which was your field.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I was like, I aced the exam because I just got out of nuke school. But 30 years later, oh my God, dude, you forget a lot of shit. Let me tell you.
Well, no, but so the ending of my doing civil engineering was you had to interpret property deeds, and the units I saw were insane. They had horse steps, smokes. Like I would
remember
challenge
you-
any
I
of
remember
you to
smoke.
know.
No, I remember.
So-
I heard that before, and I remember. I'll say foot force pounds.
But
Have
no, these are distance measures.
Just
These are for
yes.
property deeds were just
for like a claim, for like sticking a claim.
yeah, for it was this far out.
Yes.
And so we had horse steps, smokes, I mean just crazy.
Do
crazy.
you want to know what my secret fantasies are, Josh?
What?
Oh, I hate to admit this on camera, especially I've been
Well,
drinking.
I do- well, I-
But no, that's okay. Let me tell you.
I'm
my
not
secret
recording,
fantasies.
so
No, well, I'm live, dude. So,
oh shit. I guess
this is live. So let me tell you one of my secret fantasies.
Oh God, here we go.
I would love to go panning for gold in some kind of tributary sleuthing or whatever. Get a sleuth if you know what that is. I would love to go panning for gold and maybe not make a living out of it, but go find where gold is. The alluvial sources. Look for like topaz and high end gems. But just I have people don't know this about me, but I have weird hobbies, infinities that people don't know about. But one of them is panning for gold is something that I would always love to actually do.
Don't you need a federal license if you're going to use a sleuth?
Sleuth.
no. Hold on.
Sleuthing, you need a license. You need a prospecting license.
Yeah, because technically it's mining. Whereas if you're just mining by
Right,
then
but
you,
not for panning.
No.
For sleuthing, you do.
If you want them to come and take it, Steve, my favorite movie on this whole planet is an old movie. It's a really old movie. And it's called The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Oh yeah, of course with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's my favorite movie. I watch it every night before I go to
Yes.
bed.
Yeah.
That's-
Good, the Bad, the Ugly is one of my favorite movies too. By the way.
Oh, no, didn't know that.
so
And, you didn't know that.
People think they know me. They don't know me for the shit, man. But the Good, the Bad, the Ugly is one of the best movies ever made, man.
But
yes,
no,
I
I still say for mine, if I'm asked, the favorite movie of all time, Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Mhm.
When they have to go get the gold in the hills in Mexico. And I mean, the thing
would
was,
you love
it
to?
was
Would you love to? I mean, when I start feeling better,
Hey.
once I get past my medical shit and I'm able to travel,
Yeah.
I have a doctor's note. I can't travel right now. I mean, literally, I'm not even bullshit. Oh shit, hang on. Not to get
just quickly
not to get
get
the
back.
details here, but I
Well-
got this is right here. The doctor's note. I can't travel right now. But here's
but
the
as soon as your camera getting gold, we're going.
yeah. But I don't want to give the details
see-
out. But that's a
Oh, yeah.
doctor's note. You know.
We're not
But
going
I gotta tell you, Josh, I swear, so you're in Pennsylvania, man. You know how much gold? Oh my God, dude! I would be
But
thrilled to
you're
fucking
sitting on a
death.
gold mine.
Pennsylvania has gold, man. They have gold in them hills. I would love to go out with somebody and go fucking gold mining with somebody with Josh. John, you're in UK. Fuck you. But dude, I would
You know
I
what?
would
No,
be
no,
thrilled to
come
go
on.
to Pennsylvania and do that with you.
Three of us will do it.
Have you ever?
You
have
come
you ever,
over here.
have you
I'll
ever done
fly
it?
John in.
Josh, have you ever done gold mining, sleuthing?
No, I've done coal.
No. I mean,
But
we're talking about actual panning. When you get not the sleuthing, which
Oh,
you need
no,
a license for that, but actually gold panning. You go
no,
panning.
they do that. They do that next to here. If you look
dude.
up Penn's Caves, is
I would
like
love to do that.
an hour from here.
I love the mountains. People who know me know I love fishing. Right? I love to go out mountain fishing.
Well, let's go.
I would.
Dude, I'm a trout
I used
fisher.
to, I used to,
Trout.
dude, splake, cutthroat, brookie trout. Oh my God, brook trout is the best. It's related to salmon. I love to go.
It is. So
Brook trout-
here
yeah, brook trout is
we do
cousins of
brook
salmon,
and
yeah.
rainbow.
I
Brook
love
and
rainbow.
rainbow here.
Yeah, rainbow trout is the
But
best, man.
come on, dude, come over. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Dude, this is what I'm saying.
I'll plan a trip. I'll plan a trip.
Once I get out from under a bunch of bullshit that I gotta do, both whatever. My dream is to be able to go out, go fishing, go fucking panning for gold, doing what I want to do in the mountains. I love that shit. Look, I'm wearing a fucking like mountain shirt. I love that shit to a passion.
No, the other thing that happens here,
I
which
love
I
fishing.
didn't.
Penny would get you to go fishing and camping with me.
You don't go because you don't go fishing out there when you go.
What? Who are you talking to? Who doesn't go
My
fishing?
roommate, she goes camping at one of the lakes up here, and I've been to that lake and I've been fishing out of that lake, but I can't catch anything because it's catfishing, and I suck at catfishing. I suck at catfishing.
Well, no, they're bottom feeders.
I know,
We're,
and
we're going for trout. We're going for
dude,
trout.
I would use like chicken gizzards and let them sit in the sun. I can't kick, but I can catch trout. I've caught
No, come
brown
over here.
trout. I've done cutthroat.
Millworms, maggots.
Dude, I can catch trout.
Fly fishing. Come on.
I can
Hey,
catch trout.
all right.
Rainbow
John,
2 pound. You
is
catch
John
a 2
coming
pound
too?
rainbow trout.
John's coming too, right?
John, you want to go
Or
fishing
no?
with us?
Well, it's a long time since I've been fishing. I typically do small game hunting rather than fishing.
I
But,
would gladly
What
take
do
a week or 2 weeks off just to go in the mountains and fish and gold and do gold
Pan for gold.
washing. Pan for gold.
No,
Oh,
we'll
I
do
love
it.
that.
Hey,
You would pan for gold?
They also, I have. I'm pan for gold.
I would love to do that with you. Oh my god, dude! Seriously, take me with you, man.
All right, now we'll do it. John, you want to
I'm
come
so
to?
not even bullshitting. Once I get to the position where I can travel, because right now I have a doctor's note, I can't travel, because of medical conditions.
Well, no, I understand that.
But I mean, once I've fixed this shit and have my operations or whatever I need, I want to go pan fishing panning for gold so bad. Even I don't know why I've always had a fascination for that. It started back in the Knott's Berry Farm day. They had this pan for gold thing, and I found it fascinating. And I had a gemology thing where I would get this tumbler back when I was a youth, and I had a tumbler and I'd make gemstones, and you would tumble them.
Oh no, the
love
best
that.
time I did was I went. So I used to spend my summers in Atlanta, and then we would go north in the mountains in Atlanta.
Oh
What's
my
that, guys?
god!
And I did all the like would pan, fish, do all that, and it was.
Dude, I'm so down.
I had
for
the
that.
best time with my cousin.
I am so down for that one of these days.
All right, we're getting you. Steve, you're
You
coming.
can
He's
tell
so-
that I'm
he's-
excited about this because this is what
I can.
I would love to do that.
Well-
I suck at geology. I do. I suck at geology, but I've always had a fascination with mineralogy. And there's a difference there.
It's fun. It's just
Oh,
fun.
Dude, to find garnets and quartz and amethyst and opal and gold.
No.
I mean, watching that.
And
people
when
don't
you
recognize that with me.
you shake the pan out
And
and
you
it
get the gold and the gold and the
yeah,
crescent.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, it's so great.
like I said,
All right,
people
you're
think
coming, Steve. You're coming.
It's so funny, Josh, because people think they fucking know me. They don't know me with their shit. You know, they don't know what I'm into and I'm not into, and that's what I'm into. I would love to go find an area where I think there were some gemstones. Take the silt and separate it, and then just sit there and wash it out. Let the black dirt kind of roll away, and get that crescent gold.
Oh, 100%. Do
See, you know what I'm
come
talking
over here.
about. See.
Oh, 100%. You come over here. We'll go for a couple weeks up in the mountains.
So why do people think they understand me when they fucking don't, man? They
I
don't. You
can't
do.
understand that. I think I do. I think I do.
Oh, far more than most. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, nerds get each other. Yeah, like my roommate said, nerds get nerds. but the most people would have no idea that I have an interest in things like panning for gold. You know?
Well, I think I just came up with that right now that I thought you would, and
Yes.
dude, it's fun. I'd like to go do it, and I'm telling you,
get some nuggets. Well, the bigger nuggets are found in the shit, like the rock layers. You can dig for them and shit like that. But even still,
yeah. So I mean, you're not gonna find
oh, they're really.
you're not gonna
small
find
nuggets.
much gold.
They're gold flakes. You know.
in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's
See, I think gold's a lot of places. You just have to know like where the rivers kind of bend, and you look for that where it separates out. But you can also find gold, platinum.
oh, absolutely. I think silver is probably
Silver.
more likely here.
Yes, absolutely. And also you can find, like I said, the
It's
gemstones.
probably like you probably find more silver.
Silver. Yeah, well, silver's fun to pan for too, man. It's all But
It's
even finding geodes and finding
Oh, the
things.
geodesics?
Yes, even finding that would be
Yeah.
great.
Oh, 100%. Dude, they have those here. I'm telling you, you can find crazy fossils. It's fine. You know what? Now I start to feel like I'm sounding like Kent Hovind trying to get you to come to my fucking Bible adventure land.
Dude, I would be so thrilled. And like I said,
but mine's better because I don't.
once I get shit fixed,
That's Devon in the UK.
Right now,
it's amazing.
I can't even travel far for job stuff.
Oh wait, hold on.
This is the longest I've sat for quite some time just streaming too. I usually have to lay down.
I have to ask because John just said Devon, which is
so the Jurassic Coast in Devon and Cornwall. It's one of the best places to find fossils in the world because of the coastal erosion.
That is correct.
See, here's the thing: fossils don't interest me as much as gemstones do. I would love finding gemstones.
Cornwall has gemstones, but they import them all from India.
No. I mean, I want to go to nature and find shit.
Oh no, no. I just did. I just actually set up a bunch of jewelry for my friend.
But is there places in Pennsylvania where you can actually go to the alluvial areas where there's lakes and deposits and sift for it and find gemstones?
Yes.
I would love that.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. See. That's something I would be thrilled to actually fucking do. I wanted to go fucking. My best friend Rez wanted me to go observe the lunar eclipse. There's going to be the solar eclipse coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're not doing it?
I can't travel.
Well,
yeah, I'm literally under a doctor's order. I can't travel, and so, but I would love to have done that. Yeah.
I'm actually in my house. We're at like a 94%, and I could go to my sister's house and see the whole totality.
He's going to 100%, 100% totality.
No, my friends of mine are too, and I gave them recommendations for where to eat and whatnot. But yeah, no, I'm. It's gonna be, I think, 90-some% for me.
Yeah. No, 100% totality is where it's at, But like I said, I literally can't go anywhere.
Well, if you can't, you can't. Hey, Steve, come on.
I'll get my fix. Look, I'm getting shit fixed. Okay, it just takes time.
Well, I'm doing it too. Yeah. I have health issues going on too. So it's
But it's nice. It's nice to have a day where I'm pain free. It just I usually use the word more discomfort than pain. But today was a good day for me. I had a really good day. I got a great phone call. Work-related phone call. I had a great day with my roommate. She's satisfied, and I don't mean like
that's
that
great.
That's weird, but I mean food-wise, we're big. Like I said, we're big into food here. I like to make sure that Kano is well fed.
Well, I have to go. So I have to go in tomorrow to work because I work from home normally. But tomorrow I have to go in because they're having a gigantic party in my honor.
Do it, man. You've earned it, man. I know the shit you've been through, and I told you a long time ago.
Yeah,
you'll find your niche. You'll find the shit that they're willing to pay you for what you're worth.
No, and I think I got it. I think I got it,
yeah,
Steve.
You did. But we will have to have a mathematics hangout. John will have to join us. He likes math a little bit. I don't know what we're talking about, but we need to talk some math shit.
Oh, dude, I'm ready to talk math anytime.
The whole 0.9 I'm repeating is kind of played out because people know I'm right, so fuck them. But I don't know, man.
Well,
maybe do.
Go
ahead.
I did write you a proof.
You did. I've seen your proof. Yeah. What's so funny is, my proof on the whole presumption of atheism thing, 3,500 views so far, dude.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's got a lot of traction. Yeah, and it's considered to be valid. I mean, people haven't assailed it. One person tried to do a paper on it to try to show that it's wrong, but their Venn diagram was so bad I had to laugh. But no,
I didn't see the bad one because the only ones I've ever seen about it are that you're right, and I mean, I looked at your paper.
My paper is valid and sound.
There's
and
nothing wrong about it. There's nothing wrong.
Nope. Dr. Pi wrote a whole paper on it using Ginsler logic, and he said Steve's right, basically. I mean, so I felt vindicated because people had asked me, hey, if you think you're right, why don't you prove it? Okay, I think I will. And I did. You know?
But the problem is, most people are thinking by using intuitions rather than actually sitting down and actually working through.
Right. They didn't expect me to use actually logic. I used not only predicate logic, but I also used Boolean logic, which they weren't expecting. So.
And then there's this perpetual lie that's kicked into kids or kicked into people at an early stage where they seem to think that atheism and theism are belief claims, whereas agnosticism is a knowledge claim.
That's stupid. Yeah, I have no idea where they got that knowledge bullshit from.
But I think it's they just looked at the etymology of the word agnostic, and they didn't do a deep enough dive on it, and they end up with this misconception. But
Right.
like, I mean, even if that were true, it would still be a belief claim because
Right.
knowledge is a subset of belief. So any knowledge claim is automatically a belief claim as well. It has to be. It can't not be. So how can it just be a knowledge? It's insane.
Yeah, the reality is agnosticism is a second order belief claim and a first order attitudinal claim. It's an attitudinal dispositional claim. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm sufficiently
All right, no,
buzzed
hey,
where I'm
hey.
gonna like sleep well tonight. I'm gonna take a little more. I'm gonna take some melatonin. But this is the first day, like I said, that I've been legit not in pain where I didn't want to stream, because I've been trying to stream for days, and I told Aaron, hey, let's stream tonight, and then I go back 2 hours later. I'm like, I'm not up for it. So I apologize to my Patreons. I apologize to my subscribers and members. I'm trying to get content out, but bear in mind that I do so when I'm able to feel like it. And people know that I feel like shit most of the time, man. I mean, what am I supposed to fucking do? I don't want to have to apologize for that because I can't. But
hey, come on. We're in contact all the time, Steve.
Oh yeah, but you're and John are friends, so I mean, you guys understand. You guys know what's been going on. But people that subscribe to my channel and are members of the channel and Patreon, they have every right to expect content. I mean, why else would they be Patreons and members if not? And they have every right to expect content. You know, I believe that, and I want to give that to them. So I am going to give out content. It just has to be when I'm up to do so. Today was the first day where I've actually felt decent to do so. So hopefully that continues.
There's no point ruining yourself trying to churn out content that, as you're right in saying, people have a right to expect, because they are essentially paying.
Yes.
Essentially paying for a product, but they're paying for content. So, but yeah, I mean, you've got to get yourself into a position. I mean, I think most people, what would they prefer? Would they prefer that you put out some mediocre content in high volume now that means that it takes you longer to recover, or would they prefer that you just take a small hiatus, get yourself back on your feet, and then
I get that. And here's the thing: I have some stuff I really want to do on the Non Sequitur show, but like you said, until I get better, I probably won't be able to do it. But I'm trying. I really am trying, and that's why I like I said, I have 3 medical appointments this month. What else can I fucking do? You know?
No, I agree with John on this. I think you should, if it takes a little bit, it takes a little bit.
Yeah.
I've never, even if it takes a while.
But
I'm still there for the.
It's for me too. This is therapeutic for me.
Well, yeah, but no, but what I'm saying is, if this is therapeutic, then do a hangout with us.
That's what I just. Well, that's what I did tonight. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you feel well,
have to be content.
If you feel well enough to produce the content and it's something that you enjoy doing, then great, go for it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
If you wake up in the morning and you feel like a hammered shit, then.
Well, that's why I didn't the last couple of days. Even though I told Aaron, "Hey, let's stream tonight," and I wrote her back. I'm like, I can't tonight.
People will understand, and if they don't understand, well, fuck them. Yeah, basically.
And I get that. I really honestly do, and I appreciate the people that get that. But at the same token,
I think we get that.
You still got to put out stuff, and I still want to. It's just when I'm going to be able to do it. But the fact that I had pain medication today and I felt better, man. I really do. So,
well, that's good. Then I'm happy that you feel better, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm very happy that things are finally looking out for you. I told you they would. It just takes time, And John, you're UK, so fuck you. Doesn't really matter. We left we left the British colonization for a reason. God bless America.
Well, hey, so this is actually my one of my best friends is from Wales, and so tonight we were talking, and he said "bao," and I said to my other friend, like, "Oh, so do you know why people from the UK say "bao" instead of "bottle"? They don't pronounce the T."
Well, it does depend on where you are. So
it does. But do you know what happened to that T?
Is this be a hard?
Yes. No, that's the joke.
That's the joke.
What did we do to the T?
Yeah, what did you do? The missing T. All right, John, Josh, I'm going to wrap it up so I can crash out. I got a busy week coming up. But I appreciate you guys. I really do. Josh, especially. We need to hang out more. We will do a math hangout. I promise you. I give you my word.
Hey.
We will. I swear to God.
When you're ready, Steve, I'm always ready.
Thank you, my friend. And this is what's funny is like I said, a lot of people don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but there are actual friendships and people that I actually give a shit about. Josh is absolutely fucking one of them. John is absolutely fucking one of them. Everybody else, I'm sorry, but there are people out there that don't understand that there are real relationships, and I'm sorry. I feel bad for them. They don't understand what friendship's like. They don't even know. And they've been attacking me and the people that I care about for a very long time. But I've seen a pushback on that now, and I'm grateful for it. I really am. Push back against the evil. Push back against people that are fucking trying to shit on people, because life is too short. I mean, when you realize that your life is finite, focus on things you want to focus about. And this is really enjoyable to me. This was great. This is what I want to do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Josh. But I'm going to end it. John, you got anything you want to add for your UK shit?
No, I'm not really, Steve. Just enjoyed the conversation. Glad you felt up to having it. And
go to bed. Go to bed.
It's 7 a.m. So.
Yeah, I know. I know it's late as shit for him.
All right, Josh, go to bed too. I'm going to end this stream.
All right.
In the StreamYards. Good night, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll try to stream in the next couple days. I busy week for me this week, but I will stream at night when I can. Okay. Good night, guys. Good night, John. Good night, Josh.